Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to Starbase Weekly, the RGV aerial deep dive into images he captured from the ground and air in Boca Chica, Texas. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. To the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Hi everybody, it's Indian Star. I just wanted to welcome you all to episode 50 of Starbase Weekly. This week we've changed it up a little bit just to keep you guys all on your toes, and I will pass it over to our guest commentator, Dave. Dave Avery is here with us. Dave?
Thanks, Indy. This is Dave Avery. I had to step in because we have a couple of issues with a couple of regular commentators.
No issues.
Golden Boy had to attend a funeral of a cousin. That's not a good thing. And then our normal people that can't make it right on time because they have a life. And from now, I will hand it over to Mauricio.
Hey, hello everybody, this is Mauricio here. Like Indian Sir said, welcome back to our episode 50, which is I almost wish they would have lined up with our 1 year anniversary. Maybe we should have just skipped a episode, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, for those that don't know, we will be completing 1 year on December 23rd. Hopefully we're able to live stream that particular day. What does it fall on?
It's the day before.
Lands on a Friday. Yeah, that lands on a Friday, so that might actually work out. But more on that later. So yeah, how's everybody doing?
Doing all right. How about you? How was the flyover this time? The weather's been crazy out there, hasn't it?
It's been pretty bad.
Oops.
It's been pretty bad out there. There's that particular issue on the flyover on why we couldn't do it, and then there's also the availability of the pilot. But the good news is we have a flyover planned for Monday the 5th. So
Day
just be
tomorrow.
on the lookout for that. The day after tomorrow, like the movie.
There's a movie called Day After Tomorrow?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Okay, I keep switching pictures, don't mind me. Did you want to start off with that video?
Yes, I guess if you want to play the video, we'll go ahead and start at Massey first.
Okay, and this is what we're looking at right now is Massey's, and you can tell that half of it is submerged, which is funny to me. You can see that right Here, it seems like half of it is completely submerged. This is a lot of water.
I'll give you a quarter.
Quarter for what?
A quarter of it.
Oh,
Back left side.
my bad. I forgot who I was talking to. Yes, you're right, Dave. Definitely a quarter. And you see that Movac truck? I thought that was interesting too. Agent V's favorite truck in the whole wide world. I am just pulling up that video. My apologies. I had it and it went away.
And
So I
so
guess right.
everybody,
Go ahead, Dave.
so everybody knows we're going to follow pretty much our normal flow through Starbase. We're going to start at Macy's, wander around here a bit, head over to Sanchez, look at what's happening with the tent and the can crush.
Ooh, Dave's voice is going. Don't mind him.
Yeah, that's okay.
We
And then over to the build site where things have been moving around and reappearing and disappearing again. And then integration, and finally over to the launch site.
nice. So we're doing our regular flow. Sorry about that. Just going to grab this real fast and life will be grand.
I see. What is that color? Teal.
That would be teal.
What color teal? My color?
That's what you're showing right now.
Do you see the screen?
Nope. We always see is teal.
Yeah, I think you're sharing the wrong screen.
No. So on YouTube, I've got the right thing, but you guys see something different. So let me fix that real fast, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Et voilà, messieurs.
Oh, there it is, a video.
Let me restart it for you guys, because I had already started it. Let's go back, or let's just pretend like it's, here it is.
No, let's just, yeah, you can scrub back if you want.
There you go. Here you go, gents.
So here we start out over the wetlands of Massey's. Yes, all the rain did end up somewhere, and here's where part of it ended up. Looking at the vacuum truck that's out there in the spit of dirt, it is sucking water out of the embedment. And here's another one coming in with more dirt to try to get things above the water line. Coming up on the tank farm for the test site.
Well, actually, that one is actually taking dirt away from that spot and taking it over to. Or I guess you go ahead and leave the video playing. We'll see what it does. Yeah, it's picking up the dirt. Go ahead, Dave.
So here we have the tank farm for the test site. Doesn't look like much has changed majorly since we last saw it. Just above the tank farm, we have a beautiful new concrete pad because I guess they didn't like the one they had under E-Dome when they blew it up. So it looks like this one might be a little heavier duty. Then we got the nose cone jail that's still waiting for a customer. We got a bunch of high pressure gas tanks that are waiting future assignment because I think they've been replaced by the gas air liquefier vaporizer that's part of the tank farm now, and they don't need separate gas tanks.
Now, what do you think they're going to be testing at that particular? Because they're getting ready to start testing a new article there. Which one's next, Dave? Do you think?
Good question. I'll bow to Golden Boy and Jax on this one, but I'd say maybe what he's calling Tank 13.
Yeah.
I think it's the next one in sequence to come ready. That's got 2 domes in it, so it can actually hold fluid.
Yeah, and
versus some of their other weird test articles that only have 1 dome and can't get pressurized.
Well, nowadays all the test articles are unique. I don't think there's a single one that's been something we anticipated of late. Has it? I know the last one created quite a stir.
No, but I'm saying we had test tanks because they had 2 domes in them, but now we've been getting crush test articles that you can't even put pressure in them.
Which is very unique all by itself. Now,
and then we've got the 3 tanks that came from Cape Canaveral that are just sitting there on blocks waiting. Sitting next to them is something new, which appears to be steel for Starbase building, Star Factory building 2
So you're talking
to
about
the
these right
left.
here
Nope,
or
all the way to the
higher?
left. All the
All
way
the
to the
way to
left.
the
Left,
left.
left, left, left,
I'm
left.
going the wrong way. Sorry, I just realized that. My bad. Here you go.
That left. Over there where it's going out of the shot.
Yes, right here.
Yep. So those look like the steel frames for another Star Factory section. If that's the case, then that would indicate to me that probably by New Year's or somewhere in that time frame, we will expect to see a tent or two disappearing at the build site.
Hooray. That'll be unique. Now, are we going to talk about what we see here, or do we just want to keep watching it as we go around?
Well, I've been commentating. I commented on the new pad.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a real big height difference, or do we just think they're redoing what was destroyed by
I think they're just redoing
Edom?
it heavier. I think it's a little taller, but I think that just meant they didn't have to dig down as much.
Interesting.
I guess the biggest development here at Massey's is the new pieces for the next phase of the Star Factory that you see there next to those tanks there.
Yep.
Yep, that's the only big obvious thing I'm seeing right now. Other than a little more cleanup in the dirt there, bottom center, they've cleaned up that area like it may be getting graded and cemented, so that they will have more concrete to put stuff on.
Now, are the black things over here cladding or just something else?
No, that's something else.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are.
Okie
Oh,
dokie.
maybe if you move to the images and we can maybe
Sure,
zoom in on those, see
of
what that
course.
is.
Let me grab the images. They're right there. Sanchez is right. Yeah.
Sanchez or Massey's?
Sorry, I meant Massey's. I'm just going to get rid of. Do you want to watch the end of the video first?
We
There's
can
only
watch the end of the video. It's going to run out in a couple seconds
a few
because we're
seconds
about
left.
over to the water plant.
Yep. The water plant. This is what I was trying to describe to Vixie. These black tanks right here.
Those are the same tanks that started out at Sanchez for 2 years. And then they got moved over here, and instead of processing brackish water at Sanchez, they're now sucking water out of the Rio Grande and creating clean, maybe potable water, probably through reverse osmosis, that they're using all over the site.
Interesting. All right.
So they're trucking out those some of that water out to the build site. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, a lot of the water trucks we see have been filled up here.
Sorry. Let me just. Ha! There we go. Sorry, I get very excited. Don't mind me. Now, this looks like a completely different picture. This is later on in the same day, right? The other one was with the drone early in the morning, and then this is later on. Go ahead.
No, it was all taken in the same at the same time. I don't know why it looks different. I guess because I'm not sure. It looks. I mean, it doesn't look different to me.
It just
I don't
looks
know.
wetter. To me, it looks wetter. That's all. It's probably just a color thing.
Yeah, this is looking towards the south. Yes, looking towards south. So that's the Rio Grande River in the that you see there, and then that's Mexico in the background.
This is all Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I guess the other question was if and when they do a Raptor test, is that what it's people are saying that it's going to be, right? That's Dave. I don't know.
I mean, that's certainly been a rumor, and depending on how they orient it, it may or may not be a problem.
How are they gonna divert the plume? I mean, is it gonna be are they gonna blast Mexico?
Well, if they put it on the property facing sideways, it could go. They could just acquire the property to the east or west. They could do a vertical tripod tower like they have at McGregor, which place it goes down and doesn't go out in various directions too far. Yeah, probably not going to want to fire it towards the Rio. I don't think the rancher on the other side of the river would be real happy.
It's all right. They're in Mexico. They'll never know.
Because if you take a step back and you see where that might actually be, there's a big space. There's a lot of real estate there to build that test stand. Don't you think that where they're draining out the water,
Yeah,
that's
I
probably
mean
going to be
they
the
could
spot?
certainly build like a tripod stand like they have at McGregor. And get get the rocket motor up 60 or 100 feet in the air and point it straight down. Berm it and call it good if they had to do that.
This doesn't look like cladding to you?
No, it's we zoom in a little bit more.
Looks like cladding to me. Looks like those
Yeah,
individual thinner slats that go in the
yeah,
middle.
you might be right. If you look at some of those edges,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like there's some gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's got the crenulation on the end, that probably would be cladding.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I'll admit it.
No,
may-
you don't have to admit it. It's okay. I'm just
may-
messing around.
maybe if you pull up a different image, like a more side profile view, we might be able to see those
Sure.
a little bit better.
Let's see if we find one. This will move in just a moment. There it goes. Is this more of a side profile view to you? You think?
Well, he was thinking, I think, more to the end, so a shot from Massey
Here?
Road area. Yeah,
Well,
you
we
know,
went
there,
through the Massey Road.
area.
Okay. Well, we can
But
see.
zoom in on the shot to the south.
The problem is from that side, it blocks. You have all the tanks and everything else. Zooming in doesn't show you anything different. But we can try it. I can go backwards if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me do that then. Excuse me.
Yeah, see if you can zoom that one in.
That one? Okay.
Yeah. See how far you can zoom in. I don't know how much detail we got, but
Oh, I got you on the zoom, my friend.
yeah, it's the resolution of the actual image.
Well, that I can't get you. Although this is 61 megapixels, so it's a lot better than we've had before.
No, this is drones. This isn't that.
Oh,
This isn't that
doggone
high
it.
res.
No, this is the. Oh, you're right. Because we weren't.
There's only 20 megapixels. It's a Phantom 4 Pro Plus, so it's only 20 megapixels. Unfortunately, I mean that's still pretty good for my day-to-day activities, but
Oh, that's great for the distance you're shooting and what you're shooting. This is still pretty good imagery.
yeah, we can't really see what that is.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards that it is cladding, like Indian Star said.
Well, they're going to need a ton of cladding to clad 3 sides of the tower.
I think we have Jax already joining us, so I don't know if Jax.
I see a Jax here.
Well, hello, everybody.
Beep boop bot, Jax.
How is everybody doing today?
We're all doing good. We're hoping you're going to be our font of knowledge about everything going on at Can Crusher and Build Site'dom with all the tank changes this week.
We're only at Massey's though, so you came at the right time.
Perfect.
And we got Thomas here too as well.
Hello, Mauricio.
Hey, Thomas.
Been waiting to be introduced. I was like,
Oh.
Don't want to jump in at any wrong time.
There's never a wrong time for you, my friend. You're welcome anytime to jump in.
All right.
So is this cladding, gents? The 2 new gents?
Yes, cladding.
Sorry. Carry on,
The
please.
weird thing, though, is if you go back to that side profile view, it's a bit longer, which comparatively to the stuff on the other side of the tent.
Which side profile view? The one we were at originally?
Yeah, the original one that you were at.
Like 3 more forward?
Yeah, so that either of those shots will be perfect, because if you look at the width of these compared to the ones up above to the right, there's a bit of parallax, so it'll kind of shrink over the distance, but it looks so much larger than these other ones.
These look larger than these?
Those ones look larger than the ones to the right, but they're probably the same size or similar.
Yeah, they look very similar, if not the same to me. And they're even stacked in the same manner. with the ties on the ends. But neither here nor there.
So I don't know if when you made it in, Thomas, but we were discussing the new steel works laying on the ground by the KSC tanks, which looks like it's probable Star Factory framing.
Yeah, replacing tents 1 and 2. I'm so excited about that.
Do you think before or after Christmas?
See tents 1 and 2 go down pretty soon. That's probably an after Christmas type of thing. It's stage 2 for a lot of their or not stage 2. It's like the next quarter of the year at least. I think that's the way they go.
Well, it's certainly what Zach has been conjecturing for a long time is they really do quarterly operational surges, and this would be likely first quarter then of 23, but that also means our chance of seeing even less, our chance of things even gets lesser and lesser as this happens.
Oh, yay. Yeah, I do agree, though, that we're looking at after Christmas for that to start happening. There's still a lot of stuff to do for tearing down those tents.
So do you think they'll start the demolition before Christmas, or they'll start the whole project in Q1?
Honestly, I'm thinking we'll probably just see it. We probably won't see anything until Q1. However, it'd be nice if they got to work as soon as possible. The Star Factory, I mean, it'd be nice if they could get it online pretty quickly.
That's their MO, though, pretty quickly. That's what they do.
Star Factory 1 took about, third one took about 6 months from groundbreaking to full occupancy, if I remember right.
But when they get going, like there's a moment where they just like everything gets done. Pop, 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 pop. It's very quick, it seems like.
Well, frame out happens pretty quickly, but then there's all the interior fitment and utilities and everything else that takes time before they can actually start working inside it.
Last night we had a pretty funny joke that we're going to build Star Factory Part 2 at Sanchez instead.
And then we're going to truck it down the road, right, Thomas?
All in one piece, sure. But jokes aside, the fact that they have it already building up here is really good sign that we're going to see that next year, probably first quarter, as we were saying earlier.
Right. So those are all the Massey's pictures. Do you guys want to move on to Sanchez?
Unless anybody's got anything else to mention at Massey's, I say we head down the road.
Anybody
One thing that is the final thing is that cage. It looks a bit different. Like Mauricio and I kept looking at it. We're like, it looks different. It's the same, but it looks different somehow. We're not sure what's changed, but it feels like it's about to have some changes. So I think that's what we're doing is we're putting those feelings directly onto something that hasn't changed. Everything that's moving around will go to. Let's go to Sanchez now, and actually we could go to, I think the more northern end of Sanchez, and we could probably keep going on to that same subject there.
Alrighty, I think I got the build site lined up. Let me move it to Sanchez. Forgive me.
While you do that, we have a lot of donations.
Oh yes, please.
So we got 55 Chevy guy Steve, $20. Congratulations on the 50 and big thanks for all you do, time and effort to do it. Thank you, Steve. And we got another one by Jim Cavett for $5, 5 for the 50th. And thank you, how do we say that? Cosmic, $5. Cheers, RGB. Thanks for what you do. We got Izada for $5 because I love your show every week. Thank you, Izada. And we got Nathan Wheeler for $9.99. Appreciate the views and updates every week. Thank you, guys. And then we have James Wilson, $5. Christmas time. Visit the merch store. You deserve it. I'll link the merch store below. We haven't really updated the merch store lately, but we'll get something new up there for Christmas time.
You
And then
do
we got
have
this.
coupons though, because I went on it yesterday. So there's a lot of good coupons you have on there for reducing the price and also free shipping.
Yeah, we have free shipping coupons so that are advertised on the merch store. So I'll post that in the comment section soon. We got Mistletoe Profit, which is he's by the way he's one of our new moderators. So congratulations, Mistletoe. You're now part of the RGB team there. $20 for the fantastic milestone, episode 50.
I think you're going to have to call him
And
mistletoe from this point forward, or just toe for
yeah,
short.
we also have Jingle Bells with €11 for Mistletoe Profit's new suit.
By the way, it
Uh,
is Jingle Bells' birthday today. Happy birthday, Jacqueline.
Happy birthday. And then we actually have some membership that were gifted. Crow Guy, he's been a member for 6 months. He gifted 5 RGB aerial photography memberships. If you got one of those, say thanks to make sure you say thanks there in the comment section. And we got Jim Cavett as well. He's been a member for 6 months and he gifted 1 RGB aerial photography membership. So thank you for that. And take advantage of the perks.
And I guess before we go to Sanchez, do we have any Macy's questions that were asked?
I didn't have anything pulled up per se.
Okay, and let's just go on to Sanchez.
Actually, there is one. I'm wondering if SpaceX will maybe test S-26 at Massey's only for header tech tests and won't fly it. That's the question. By Benjamin Klein.
It's a tough situation because I mean you very well could test something small like the header tanks at the Massey's facility. But I mean they have a suborbital stand at the launch site, and typically if they only wanted to do header tank testing, what they do is they just build the header tanks. Back in 2019, they did one for the oxygen header tank. They just built the tip of a nose cone and did a cryo test on that. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's what we're gonna see happen, but I mean, I think all of us in here know that ship 26 is kind of a weird one.
Jaxie, I feel like you say that about quite a few things these days,
Crazy times.
right?
But do we
It
have
just
any
means
more?
there's a lot of mysteries to us.
Yeah.
That's why they call us investigators.
Is that all of the questions that we have for Massey's?
We'll take your silence to mean yes, Mauricio. And now we'll start
Let's go.
Sanchez.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I was changing on my mic. But yeah, let's move on.
Oh, look at this. Oh, lovely, lovely day.
So yeah. If you've watched, where do we start? If you've watched previous streams here, Starbase Weekly streams, you might remember that this has been on the Can Crusher before. This is a skirt article to be tested. And I think it's been brought up a lot recently because there's been some work on ship 24. So this, on one of the ring seams, there was a small little buckle. And if you, just in the lower right of this photo, you can see that they did put external stringers over top of where it buckled. You can actually still see where, if you zoom in just down and left a little bit, if you move your cursor, you can zoom in just on one of the ring welds and you can see it's still dented in a little bit. Just about center screen. If you go up just to the right a bit, you can see that this weld is caved in a little bit. Yeah, so they are retesting it. These stringers, don't anticipate these to show up on any of the ships. This is very much a test article kind of repair situation.
So, Jaxie, does this mean that they have done the doubling of what you're saying? Add the extra strictures?
So on the inside there are stringers. The skirt has
Stringers, thank you.
those. There's the stringers, and we can see the black weld markings from them. but you can see there are ribs on the outside now. Just like let's see on the top of a booster or something similar to that, and they're reinforcing the area. It's tough because as much as this could be kind of like a response to the failure fixing it, this could also be just repairs on the article, because when things buckle, stringers rip off. That's what happens. The welds rip and things go. It's not a pretty scene. So these might just be test article kind of repair things. We won't see this on ship 24.
If you could zoom out again, Indian Star, the kind of the thing that he's talking about is you have to remember this top hat up here, this big piece. It's pressing down, and normally you don't have something like this on a starship. And so those are the stringers that are necessary between there and down here to help keep it basically in the structure they want it. Normally you'd have a common dome in here, and right now it doesn't have any of that. I think it's just got a cross piece that they put in to brace it, and that's just a single piece.
Is
so
that
it's
this
going to be
piece
very
right
offset.
here?
No, it's on the inside, so you can only see it from up above. They had it
Okay.
last time, so I suspect they'll have it again in here, just to keep it braced. And by doing these stringers vertically, they're bracing it in another way, because it's like, this is not what we're trying to test. They're not trying to test the test equipment. They're trying to test this article, and so they have to fix some structural defects of their test article itself that is not going to be present in the ship.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I think you can see there's a flap hinge
Sorry.
on this test article, and I think that's one of the main focuses of this article is going to be to stress that hinge. And
Where's the hinge? I'm sorry.
if you go back a photo or two,
Mm-hmm.
so it's right here, this member sticking off of the side. So that's where the aft flap would connect
Aft flap.
and get pivoted. And it's not on here yet, but what they do is they push on that with a little piston. And I'd imagine what they're putting it through are re-entry forces. Because during max Q, I'm not sure what kind of loads the flaps would be under.
Lots,
yeah,
I would think
it's-
pressure, right? Lots of pressure.
Yeah,
Well, from
but
the top.
yeah,
Not okay.
this is testing lateral forces on the flaps,
Hmm.
pushing sideways.
This
So-
would probably be worst case max Q, that they're starting to do some aerodynamic forces that they're not expecting, or that it starts kind of wobbling. You want the flaps to stay attached to the vehicle, and the vehicle to stay in one piece, not crumple.
That is a benefit, yeah. But anyways, I think one of the things that we should touch on over here at Sanchez is just beside this test article, the bottom of the nose cone cage.
I believe it
I
shall
don't-
come quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly that photo is. It's just to the left of the can crusher, but he has some other photos of it. I don't know
We
if
have a
you
lot of can crushers.
Yeah, we have a lot of can crusher photos.
Do you want to talk about this test tank?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have this test tank here. That was on the can crusher last week.
So this
B6 or 6.1, whatever you want to call it. It's since been retired, actually retired this time.
this is
Uh,
not the one
sorry?
that had the bottom blown out. That was the one at E-Dome. Sorry.
That was Edom, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
This had the ship skirt placed on top. And actually, right now, it's not even sitting on a stand. This thing is sitting right on the ground. So it's done. Are you able to read the photo numbers? I'll send you over one of the photos that might be worth looking at.
Sure, I can actually just pull it up on the bottom too. Make it easier.
We're looking for 03778. I don't know if we can search that. If you go left a bit more, maybe.
Left is
While
the
you
other
look
way.
for that, while
Left
you
is
look for
where
that,
we came from, sorry.
I do want to shout out real quick some donations here just to Moon to Mars, $50. Wow, $50 for 50. Thank you very much, Moon to Mars. And Joey Bag of Donuts, $20. Really, does this donation need to be colored Netherlands orange to rub it in? He's referring to United States being eliminated for the World Cup by the Netherlands. But thank you very much, everybody, for the donations. Going back to you, Indian sir.
I feel like that was our friend Pleasant. Just kidding. I don't know if I see it, Jax.
Maybe just keep scrolling around along to the right, maybe.
This is it.
It's somewhere. Oh, is this all the photos that you have? All the way to the left, all the way to the right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in there somewhere. I'll
We'll
send
hit
it
it.
over to you.
Okay. In the meantime, we can look at Doggy.
Sunny.
That's right. Look at how
Look
big
how
he
happy
is.
he is.
I can't believe how big he is.
I can. My dog's the same size. He's about 2 months older than Sunny. Mine is Jackson, but oftentimes I call him Jax. Sorry, Jax.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's a cute dog. So I think it might be in a different area that you may have sorted it off into a different folder. But if you check the live comms,
Yep.
we've got a
Got
couple
it.
of those for you.
I think I got it. Oh. There it is right here.
Yeah, there it is right here. So this is the bottom of the nose cone testing cage. You might remember April of last year, 2021. Serial number 12's nose cone was put through structural testing, max Q testing, inside of this pretty funky looking cage. And since then they only used that cage the one time. And Thomas, I know you were there during that test, if you want to talk about that a little.
Yeah, so we were there the day before SN15 flew. We were at the launch site, the suborbital launch site. So it was on, well, this was next to test stand B, for nose cone 12. I think I've got some video or something of it, but I can share later. But the nose cone, they have this ram that was on the inside that was pulling down, and we could hear this popping sound, this loud banging pop. And we were thinking that SN15 was having some issue because it's like we've never heard that sound before. And we look over and there's a big old dent on the nose cone. And this was Grandpa Joe, myself, Phil, a kid. We were all sitting there watching this testing happening right in front of us, and it was spectacular. We're probably expecting another nose cone here to happen, to have the same kind of test. The thing that's odd though is which one it's going to be, and I'm like, oh, I hope it's one of these irregular ships that we don't know what it's going to be for. It's like, it was just for the nose cone the whole time.
Yeah, this cage, it's effectively a can crusher, but like on the inside of the nose cone.
Nose smusher, there you go.
It's a nose smusher, yeah. And it'll be pretty nice because that's going to test out the whole structure of the payload bay and nose cone, and yeah, they've never tested the max Q forces on a payload bay, which is concerning that they haven't done that. And we're going to touch on some payload bay stuff later. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they get that done as soon as possible, and they've started putting this stand back together. So hopefully within the coming weeks and months, we'll see something happen.
So one thing I'm kind of noticing on that particular article, they changed something on the welds for the stand that holds it. So if you can zoom in a little bit at that the top point, the area that's gray, it looks like they're actually going through and putting in some like no, not that part, but to the right. And actually that too, it looks like it's been painted.
Yeah.
They've basically put on some zinc paint or something along those lines, because it looked rusted more before than it does now.
And you can see it in comparison to this.
Oh, that's an old piece that they add on after the fact. This is this particular piece, this article that we're looking at, it was originally, from what I can understand, so I talked to a person who talked to some other workers that said that this was for moving the original booster one. Now that's one of those things where I have to kind of take it with a bit of grain of salt. because that's always rumor or whatnot. But it's one of those things where I've talked to that guy and was like, okay, this is it, and it's maybe just what I wanted to hear. But they've obviously added on those like side struts. Those were afterthoughts. They haven't ever used the pieces that were at Sanchez. I'm sorry, they're now at Massey's. They were at Sanchez for a long time, but they attach to these. They make a trapezoid shape. So we always call this like the trapezoid hexagon or something like that, because it's a bunch of trapezoids, and it's got from the top view basically a hexagon shape. Sorry, the item itself is pretty old. It's Booster 1 days. Actually, kind of predates Booster 1 even.
Yeah, by no means is it a new stand, and it's gone through quite a few uses. Like you said, we saw it with the nose cage. Then it had a test tank on top of it with thrust rams, and now it's hopefully going back to becoming a nose cone cage, which is I for one am looking forward to.
Yeah, at one point I think it was even that jig. It was just like, hey, we're gonna use this as a jig for building stuff, and it was like just a platform between a let's say test stand A or B at the suborbital site and a normal booster with the 20 engines. It's got that interesting piece, and it's I think still in that same area, maybe in the background there.
Yeah, it's just behind it in this photo.
That would be this back here.
Oh, it'd be in another photo. It's hard to see from here.
Understood. Let's go to another photo. This is very intricate to me. I don't know why. It seems very intricate. Probably just me. Beautiful, beautiful ships and boosters.
We had another donation earlier from Jonathan MCD from McD, 20 pounds.
Wow.
He said cake for all. So everybody gets cake.
Cake. Hooray. I like cake. I didn't know cake was an option.
So yeah, I guess we can start moving along into
Aye, Captain.
more of Sanchez.
Yep, it's gonna go. Look at how wet the ground is. It's crazy. Ooh, your favorite.
Hasn't changed since last week. So people keep calling these like blast diverters, but I think they're really just or flame diverters, but they're really blast diverters, like you have at the end of a runway.
These are shoot, sorry. These are what you have at the end of a runway? Forgive me, I'm gonna go through these real fast. Anybody who gets motion sickness, close your eyes for just a second, please. You're saying that these.
Oh, it's at the beginning. No, it's further over to the left is where you started from. I think you went back somehow.
I'm amazing.
Sure. G on your keyboard, and it'll probably bring up that little timeline at the bottom with the photos. We can
G?
go to.
We do have questions.
Oh, that'll work too.
Go ahead with your questions.
We have a question. Somebody asked, how's the fond deck holding up? And I think Dave might know the answer because we're looking at some images earlier for that one.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen any good photos of underneath, but everything I've seen and heard says it held up pretty dang good. And what we have seen is the pallets of Fondag that weren't used have been moved here.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good sign. I mean, it was only 11 engines, in fairness, but it's a good sign that it didn't explode.
It's like a landing. Any good landing
or
is
end up on top of rover cam.
Ooh.
You wanted to talk about
what happened to the concrete from the original test fire.
Yeah.
The flame diverters, Thomas?
These would be more blast diverters.
Blast diverters.
Yeah, so at the end of a runway, you don't want the jet wash to ruin your fence or other materials back there, or just rip up the ground. And so you have blast diverters. That's closer to what these are. So it's like the jet wash or the rocket wash in this case, but it's not meant to be underneath directly the OLM. It looks too flimsy for that. So this would be further from the OLM, but we're still trying to figure out where. But we did rule one piece out, and we'll get to that when we get to the launch site.
Any comments about this?
It's been there for a while. It's for moving around ships. That's about it. You could put engines in the ship if you use something like this. So you could use it at high bay or wide bay. But this
I,
needs to be reconfigured because it's the old design.
I think this stand recently they've been using for scrapping things.
Which
Yeah.
looks like it makes sense.
Old
Um,
load spreaders.
yeah, a lot of stuff just piled up.
Which is typical for SpaceX, it seems. They have
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. This is
Um,
interesting.
yeah, we got the other angle of those little diverter pieces, and here's the skirt on the can crusher.
Ooh.
Oh, you went up to the mud flats too, Mauricio. How bad was it out there? You're still muted, by the way. I guess he's not here.
He was knee deep. Look at how high this water is. I mean, it's pretty high, it looks like.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I went out there and it was about, I don't know, like a foot, maybe a little bit less than that. It's not constant, so it goes up and down.
Did you get new boots to go out there?
No, not yet. I need to get like knee-high boots, probably from Academy.
Which is funny
Okay.
because I don't know if anybody remembers, but we did a big thing to get him boots. The boots that he got, and I'm not laughing at you, Mauricio, I really am not, but I think it's funny that the boots you got, when you go in the mud, the water comes almost up to the top and into your shoes, into your feet, which I find quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, I got them mainly for like the mud and for very light water. I didn't think I was gonna be getting into water that deep. It slows you down a lot, and there's a lot of fatigue. And after walking and in that particular, it's like really soft mud out at the mud flats.
That's called quicksand.
Yeah.
Literally did the same thing when I was there. It was basically an inch to half an inch when I would step down that the water would go up to on the boot, and I'm like, please don't cave in, please don't cave in. And it didn't, but moving around too quickly, the water goes into your boot and splashes around. And eventually, if you step in a low-lying area, it just goes right in. I didn't do that, so I was lucky, but it was bad. You have to be very slow, and it takes forever.
I can't wait till the weather is better again and he can do flyovers weekly again. I'd forgotten about this period in the weather where he can't go flying hardly ever because it's always pouring rain or hurricane type of winds and whatnot.
The forecast looks better for Monday, so
Yay!
hopefully it stays like that, and we go out there and see how everything looks. Not sure how many changes. Maybe we can talk. We'll get there. We'll get to the launch site and get to
we're ready to go
we
to.
don't want to be jumping around.
We're ready to go build site if you're ready. Gents ready?
I mean, I'm ready. So.
Good. Works for me. I'll take you're ready to be let's go. This, I believe, is the production site. So let me grab the other ones. I don't know why the production site wants to be on top all the time. Here we go.
That's the launch site. There's the production
site.
I
meant launch site. I really did. I knew what I was looking for. This is really cool, though.
So, I guess, yeah, we have a lot to cover in this photo.
This is amazing.
Yeah, so we have a booster thrust dome in the foreground here. That's, I think, booster 13. Could be 12, but probably 13, but maybe 12. We're in that area, you know. Star Factory is hard.
I'm surprised we can see in Star Factory.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky here. If you zoom in on the barrel just to the right of the doorway inside of the factory, we're seeing some process changes happen with the way these barrels are built. You can see that this barrel just on the lower right has TPS pins installed. You can just barely see them.
These or those?
Yeah. No, you're right with the first one.
Okay.
These right here. So those are the 3 attachment pins for tiles.
Oh, a little Mercedes symbol?
Interestingly, though, this time this section has been pinned before sleeving. which is
Oh.
not something that they do.
Hmm.
So it seems like they're trying to get more done before sleeving compared to afterwards. And on this specific section, it doesn't matter because the area over the dome weld, they don't do pins. They put on stringers and glue on tiles. So I mean, I guess yeah, they're able to do this. They've always been able to do this, but now they're working ahead quicker. That was noticed this morning by Rohan, and yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So, Jax, I have a question directly on this part of Star Factory. Have you seen a lot of materials coming out and going to the scrapyard, or has it pretty much been production ready for the get-go?
Recently they've been doing a lot more just production. Right at the start, though, there was a lot of Pathfinders. Welding test articles, you'd see a lot of couponed rings. They made some test articles for the TPS pin robot. But since then, I'd say now they're on track. They're going at a nice pace, kind of what they had going before. Yeah, I mean, you can see in this photo, obviously there's a lot of rings. I can see at least 4 rings just in this photo.
Right, because is this one right here in the very front?
Yep.
And then there's one back here,
One back there.
And then there's one at the bottom right.
bottom right down here.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 3. Then there's the big one on the left.
On this one, which is this one.
Now, this is certainly a topic that's interesting. This barrel on the left. I'm going to send you over a photo.
Okay.
Star.
This is a very unique looking barrel.
So this is a liquid oxygen tank section for booster 10. And one of the things that we've kind of been wanting them to do was to pre-install the chine hardware on it. I sent you a photo in live comms if you can pull that up. Perfect. So just first of all, let me premise one of these photos is from Lab Padre's Rover 1 camera. My opinion, the best camera out there. That thing is absolutely fantastic. You should go check out all of their cameras 24/7 down at Starbase. It's pretty incredible. It's how we know what we know. But when this barrel left the Star Factory and went over to the wide bay just after Mauricio left Starbase, do you have the photo?
Yeah.
I think it's at the top. If you just loaded it, it likes to load it at the top, typically for older photos.
Okay. It has its own name, that's why. Please carry on. I will find it while you are talking.
Yeah, so it moved over to the wide bay, where I think it still is, as far as I'm aware. Getting ready for getting ready to go in for stacking. But we noticed some oddities with it. As I said, they pre-installed some of the chine hardware, so the COPV mounts. What we did notice, however, was that the COPV mounts were not in the right position. They moved. If you've seen Super Heavy, you'll probably know that the booster uses there are 4 chines, 2 of which have 5 COPVs in them. If you scroll over to the left photo, like the left photo in this little collage piece, I highlighted the autogenous pipes sort of so we can get a position as a reference, and you can see the big COPV chine on the right. And if we go over to the right photo, I highlighted where those pipes will eventually go. We can go all the way over to the right. And what we noticed was that if you just look, there's a piece of hardware sticking off of the barrel, just kind of to the right of your cursor. If you go straight to the right, yeah, right here. That is a COPV mount. And are you able to scroll out so we can see the whole photo? I don't know if that's, okay, perfect. If you compare the position of that COPV mount to the chine on booster 7, you'll notice that it's not in the same spot. As far as I can tell, based off of this, and as definitely speculation. Booster 10 might have only 2 chines spaced 180 degrees apart,
Hey,
which is pretty major.
yeah.
Less parts. I like that.
Best part is no part.
So yeah, that's if so, they'd be right where the HPUs are on Booster 7, right in the middle there. And yeah, it's we're gonna have to keep an eye out on this and see what happens, because that's a pretty major thing. I'm excited.
I would hope that they'd actually not be 180 degrees. I'd hope they'd actually be about 120 degrees, so they'd be still pretty far apart. But that would basically make it so that that's the leeward side. When it comes in, it does, the engines first, and it tries to get a little bit of drag using the whole vehicle's body, and it uses those chines to induce a little bit more drag. And I hope that is what they do. But you're pretty good about these things, so you think it's exactly 180 degrees right now, or is that
okay,
speculation?
We haven't seen the other side, so we can't say 100% for sure. I think 180 is likely, as much as I thought 120 made sense, like what they had now. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. This is a developing situation as of yesterday, so just thought it was pretty interesting, and I'd bring it up.
Stay tuned. Breaking
Stay
news. This is pretty cool, though, Jax.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Huh. What about
if we
this
can go
pipe?
back,
Is this pipe anywhere on that side? Space for
that
it?
pipe, that pipe
Because this is the one
is,
we've seen vent, right? In the past?
I think that was a different position. It was just right beside that pipe.
Okay.
Like a really interesting positioning. On the aft section of boosters 8 and onwards, I think that pipe was moved inside, so
Okay.
it's not outside anymore.
Okay. Thank you. Shall we move on?
I think we should move on, yeah.
Okay. We go to the next here. We can take a closer look at this dome. Not dome.
Yeah, I mean,
Thrust.
it is.
Well,
Please go ahead.
well, there was a question regarding this is at the Star Factory, right? The image that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
never mind. Actually, we were looking at the Star Factory. There was an image regarding that.
We're still at the Star
said,
Factory.
when the Star Factory at Kennedy Space Center starts to be operational, will we see only the best versions of starships produced there? And when there's a better, they also start the production of it there. I guess it was worded a little bit differently, but I don't know if you understand. By this question by Benjamin Klein.
That's a tough one, because if they want to get going as soon as possible, Starship, as I think everybody here knows, is a rapidly iterating program. So I'm not sure that we're going to see the best off to start, I guess you could say. I think there's a fair chance we'll see iterations, maybe not as much as we see at Starbase. But I think we're still going to see a lot of changes with the vehicles out at Kennedy Space Center. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And when it comes to the Cape, the rumor that kept going around, and then Elon had talked about it as well in some tweets, is that they do plan on sending ships to the Cape. And I think they're going to do it vertically, not horizontally, because that's not the way these are built. That's not the way they transport Falcon 9s, and this would be in the Falcon 9 direction. And it will be after the first orbital test flights. So you'll have some orbital test flights here. We can only do 5 a year, and the Cape will soon come online for at least their launch capabilities, and especially after they've done all the testing here. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Is this an old one or a new one that we're looking at?
This dome?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely newer. Yeah, it's pretty new. We're talking boosters 12 or 13.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what's the newest piece for boosters for like pucks or any of that you've seen so far?
I think we have a puck for B14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's still pretty new. It's only a few behind.
Yeah.
Well, considering the pucks come like months in advance sometimes.
or even like last year for some of this
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
It's funny. Okay, let's keep going. Air gas. Is there something to see here? I'm curious.
Well, I think this is the flap rack, isn't it?
Here,
I do believe it is.
but there's no
yeah.
flaps.
Yeah, I guess that's one change that's happened. The forward flaps for ship 28, we've presumed, are missing. Although
Okay.
sorry, please.
Well, one thing that really stands out is not the flap rack. It's just to the right. It's the single step ladder that's been crushed to the right in the yellow part. I'm just, it's like, how much does somebody have to weigh to make it do that? Oh my gosh.
Where do you see
Wow.
a single cell ladder? That's you talking about this
So
thing?
go to the right. Yeah, right there. So it's a single step. So it's left side, right side, right side.
Oh,
Or this one's actually right, left, but it's our view. It's left, right. But anyways, the funniest part is that it's just been bent and warped, and it's like somebody probably took a scissor lift or a boom lift to that, and that's why it's all mangled. But still, that doesn't bode well.
could this be like from debris or anything like that from the static fires? Like it gets pelted, let's say.
Well, this is at the build site, so it should be nowhere near the
Yeah.
launch site. This would be probably building it or moving it. They've mangled it. And this is new equipment. This is specifically for Star Factory. So, and it's
Yeah,
that yellow piece on the right if you want to zoom into it, so
Sure.
people know what we're talking about.
That's quite something.
This, yes.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom how you'd do that.
Oh, it's lifted up on the right side. That's what's going on. So somebody, like a scissor lift, as I mentioned, probably was going up and it caught onto it and did
Wow.
that.
Maybe it was the chopsticks. Just kidding. I know it's not the launch site.
Oh, the rocket garden. Those tanks are still laying down, those 2 new tanks. So we're waiting on those to get hooked in.
Are we ever going to find out what these are for?
It's just drive us crazy. That's what they're for.
Well, mission accomplished. I'm crazy.
But yeah, those are probably some just paint swatches, and they wanted to see what they would look like in the natural light, and that's a nice comparison chart.
I feel like this is a predator looking at us.
Oh, zoom in onto it.
Now you're going to ruin my predator idea.
I hear it clicking in my head, so yeah, I could still see some sort of predator there. It's just
Now looks
it's
like
got
a Honda scooter.
it looks like a bow or something. I can't tell what I'm seeing here. I see tarp at the bottom, but then this whole metal contraption is very confusing.
Kind of looks like a lawnmower.
I wonder if it has something to do with safety lines or something else like that. Or maybe it's an exercise machine. I can't tell what
It's a
that
Peloton.
is. Dave, any clues on your side what you think that is?
Not really.
Well, thank you for that insight, sir. Shall we move
Yeah.
on?
We're playing Stump the Commentator here. and
Well, I
winning.
think, I was going to say, I think somebody's winning and it's not us.
Let's just call it the Predator or the Predaton, or what is it you called it before?
It's
that
a
exercise equipment?
Peloton, the bicycle.
Peloton.
Hmm. And they go,
So it's a
come on,
Peloton
Peloton.
Actually, in the right of this photo, just above your cursor a little bit, there's some engine shielding on a little rack. If you just zoom in, if you just start zooming in, it's just up and left a little bit.
Behind the air gas.
It's actually there's some arbus shielding just off to the right, and what I was gonna say is that with Booster 7 rolling back to the pad, I mean as we speak, it's on Highway 4 right now. those might be. I wonder if those are for it. If they're gonna throw those onto Booster 7, close it all up, make it all pretty.
Where are these
They're
panels you're referring to?
just they're you move your cursor to the left.
Left.
Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay.
Okay, go up.
This stuff. Keep going
That
up.
stuff right there. Yeah,
Okay.
it's this stuff right here. It's you zoom in there.
This isn't a
No,
container.
stuff just above it.
This stuff.
So
This
these
is
pieces,
different, correct?
yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the shielding they have on a rack for the arboosts. So they have some.
Hooray!
Hooray!
How do you? Yeah, we're not even going to ask you how you know this because
To me, it just looks like layers of plywood with a 4x4 in the center. Oh, that's so weird. I can't distinguish it from plywood and wood. And is it supposed to be stainless steel?
As far as I mean, I've seen photos of the stuff being stored, and this looks pretty much similar to it. They store it upside down and on kind of a stand like that. So that should be the steel covers, yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's very different.
Yeah. But
There's
hey.
some covers off to the far left there as well,
Yeah.
above the air gas, and those are a lot easier to understand and see.
the birds have found them.
Yep.
And this is your air gas compressor?
Vaporizer.
Vaporizer.
So it's taking heat using those fins. It's like a heat sink, but it's pulling the heat from the atmosphere and cooling down what's inside the air gas tank. So it's vaporizing it. I'm sorry, it's warming it up, not cooling down.
Interesting. And then these go around the engines.
Yes.
The Raptors themselves. Pretty cool, pretty cool.
I guess one of the topics we should cover, I'd like to move over to ship 25 if possible.
Where
Do
is
we have
ship
any
25?
Over in the high bay. I don't know if we have photos of that on hand.
Mm-hmm.
While you look for that, I mean, while you look for that, there is one question regarding the high bay and the mega bay by Benjamin Klein. Have we seen any signs or plans of additional mega bay or high bay, because now they need to work at S24 with scaffolding because there's no space inside the high bay? I don't know if that's why they have S24 out there with scaffolding, but who wants to answer that?
Well, it's a tough situation because, well, what I'll start with saying is no, we haven't seen signs of an additional bay. It's tough because what happened with Ship 24 was kind of unprecedented. That shouldn't happen where it needs such major work out at the pad, like reinforcements underneath of the tiles. That shouldn't happen. So I don't know if that would kind of warrant building a new construction building for it. I do feel that the high bay should be mega bay sized. I think high bay is too small, but you know, I mean they're gonna have 2 mega bays out at Roberts Road in at the Cape, so clearly they concur. But just to answer your question, no, there isn't any indication that there's going to be another bay, at least just yet. And
This is the girl you wanted to look at, yes?
yeah. Before we go into that, do we have any other questions? Mauricio?
That's it. That's it remaining for the high bay. There's more questions, but we'll get to them when we get there.
Perfect. So, where should we start? Ship 25. This is a depressing photo.
Zoom in onto the photo itself, and we'll see why it's so depressing.
Yeah. So I think some people may remember what Ship 24 had this same scaffolding put onto it, but below the payload door. And I think we know what follows. It does appear that they will be welding Ship 25's payload door closed.
It's
What?
already
Actually,
welded.
Yeah, it's
Why?
already welded closed, I should say.
But why?
There's another photo looking at it from a side profile.
Okay.
That's a higher res photo.
Okay.
Yeah, but look towards the center of that when you get to the next photo here.
It's just to the left of your list here.
Gotcha. Nope.
Just keep going on left.
There we
Yeah.
go. That
So
one?
if you zoom in right at the center of the payload door.
Look for the upside down and happy face curves that are those little dots. Keep zooming in.
Here.
And no, on the payload door to the
Oh.
left. Right there, yeah, zoom in there.
Yeah.
And look at the, keep zooming in, and yeah, there you go, perfect. Look up at the top and the bottom, you can see there's a happy face and not so happy face. There's just these little dots. There might be a little bit better resolution image, but it's this region that we're looking at.
Are you
Yeah,
referring to the fact that it's like outdented here?
No. Go to the left and then up.
There's a better photo. It's kind of hard to see in this photo.
Okay.
Yeah. Go to another photo to the left here.
Aye, Captain.
There's, yeah, which one will show it best?
Just one to the right.
One to the right.
Other
the photo,
right.
Oh,
the-
doggone it.
The photo that I have that shows it the best is off to the left. It's the first photo of Ship 25 there. Yeah, that's the one I have that shows it the best. You
Here.
can scroll in. If you
Oh,
scroll
yeah.
in right to the payload bay. There are two curved welds
Oh, this.
above and below the door.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
with this, as far as we're concerned, this is a single piece. The door is locked shut. It's welded closed. It cannot open anymore. And yeah, I mean, it's what's done is done.
Well, so there's some good news here to this. It means that they're going on to Ship 27, at least that variety of payload door, and whole PEZ dispenser mechanism. And that gives me a bit more hope because that entire vehicle is saying we're trying to go towards the 54 Starlings, not just a paltry few. So it means either, one, there's some regulatory issue and they have to seal these up because they're not allowed to inject anything into space on the first test flights, or that one of their first test flights is we will try to launch the full number of Starlings, and that's a really good direction. It might be like the Starlink 0, like 60 Starlings that they launched at a time back with Falcon 9, which was just a test version. The Starlinks were meant to be deorbited, and they were. It's just nice to see that might be the direction that we're going, as long as it's not some sort of regulatory, you can't launch any test satellites on your test flight that you're just going to re-enter anyways on all of it.
Yeah. So I guess what we should expect to see over the coming days is we'll see a cover go up to Ship 25 and get welded on, I'd imagine.
Will it be welded on here, connecting to this?
Those, I can't remember what those eyelets are for. It won't be used for that.
Okay.
I can't remember what those ones were used for, but that might have been for a counterweight.
That's what I was thinking, because they had that on the other one when they had it on the door.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're probably going to see the Ship 24 treatment here, which I mean, to be fair, shouldn't have been. We probably should have expected that. I mean, 24 and 25 are in effect the twins. So yeah, it's sad, but I don't know.
We do have a question now that we're on this topic here. Let me pull it up. The question is by Justomimo. It says, question, any chances these new starships being built aren't actually following the iteration process, or are we seeing different iteration streams?
I think with ship 26, we may be seeing different iteration streams, but 26 is an iteration of we're testing HLS, testing the orbital depot. It's mostly the NASA direction. That is the kind of testing direction they might be going. What's the other things for just regular starships that you've seen that they change for iteration per ship, for instance? Is there anything that stands out, Jax?
I mean, the things that are as stupid as it is, the things that are always changing are hatch positions and vent positions.
Which is true.
I don't know why they're
This
constantly
too.
changing, but they're always changing.
Didn't they? This changed in one of the iterations. They covered the raceway and they put in that extra piece. Oops, sorry.
24 had the raceway redesigned, yeah. But in terms of like constant changing, those little details are always moving. A lot of stringer placements are always changing. Various little details.
Why does this look different to me? What did they do here?
It's not painted.
Yeah.
Is that why?
Ship 24 is painted black. This one's just heat shield tiles only.
Interesting.
There's a question for Jax here from Senti. It says, do you think there's any chance S26 could make the orbital attempt? Can we rule it out? Maybe S26 is an aerodynamic counterweight for the OTF and the focus is booster and landing.
I think the main issue with that is that SpaceX has repeatedly said 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. Ship 26 is it kind of would be the perfect article for that flight, but I don't know, with the amount that SpaceX has been saying ship 24 booster 7, I don't know. I think it's going to be these two going for the first one.
Thomas, look, it's your favorite big white covered thing.
It's just the chiller, so it's a chiller unit for air conditioning, basically. That's all that is.
Still your favorite thing.
It's easy to look up.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you look at this?
It's a shiny tube.
It's just
It's
hanging around.
Grain silo.
Just so everybody knows, it's no longer there.
Yeah. Is it back at the build site yet?
If it's not at the build site, it's got to be very close. It was in transit while we were talking about Sanchez.
Perfect.
Did you want to comment about anything in this tent, perchance?
I mean, we do have some ship aft sections, but there's nothing too special inside of there. It's a lot
Fair
more
enough.
of the same.
That tent's going away quarter next year is our expectation, or at least mine.
I hope
Wow.
so.
This is the loads. Oops. Come back to me. Load spreader?
Yeah. Holding on to 9.
Nice. Hello,
And
9.
I guess 9, if we have some other photos of it, that maybe show the middle of it. Put out a tweet. Oh, would have been yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. They removed the scaffolding from the middle of booster 9. Typically when we see preparations like that, it's preparations for rollout, and with 7 rolling back, I think it's pretty likely at this point that we're going to see 9 go out for a cryo test. Just like booster 8 was meant to. But yeah, 9 should hopefully be preparing to roll out any day now.
This is all 9, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks very like Eastern to me for some reason. Like when you look at a pagoda, those old buildings in Asia.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
In
Wow.
Mulan, the movie, you can see buildings like this.
Well, it's the scaffolding that makes it look that way on this one, but yeah,
Agreed.
I can see it.
How about we turn up? I put a poll in the chat. Should we turn up Jax's volume? And it's people are saying yes. So
Yeah, I moved my microphone. I'm I'll figure that out.
All right.
Yeah, I got Jaxie as max as I can get him.
I'm just a quiet person.
Until you start going, my friend.
Ugh. Anyways, we do have some nose cones outside of 10-3.
Yes. Here we go to the 10-3. Look
The
at that.
10-3.
Closed door, and in a moment you shall see an open door. I like the big spindles of stuff. That's not
Well,
it.
actually, the Star Factory remained closed the whole time. I don't think I saw it open.
No, because we
Um,
saw in the Star Factory, we saw those rings inside.
Yeah.
This
from
is
the,
cool.
From the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
so that
is
was your Meteos side, and now we're looking from the north, south, and this is what you see. And we just saw the COPVs. They still use those, and it's like, more we can get rid of those, the better, because each one weighs about 450 pounds. That was those black pieces that are looking up. They look like little tanks.
these.
No, go back a couple pictures, I think. Yep, those. So they're still using them, but not as religiously as they were before. Before they were putting them everywhere that they could, and now they're minimizing the number of COPVs, and that's good, especially on the booster. So booster 9, they're going full electric for the TVC. They had a bunch of these for hydraulic fluids, and now they don't have hydraulics on booster 9. It's all electrical as far as the actuators and TVC and everything. And then go one photo forward. We can't see it in this one. It's actually, I guess, 4 from here. Yes, it is. Okay. But we'll get to it in just a second. So the cones. We're talking about those jacks.
The cones. So, right here, ship 29 doing its thing. Lack of pins. Last week I mentioned how we're looking at this possibly as a candidate for the nose cone cage. I think that's becoming ever likely as time goes on.
Well, so one thing that really bugs me about that is that having the pins would actually be a good test article. You don't have to have the tiles, just the pins, because you're doing some deformation of the cone itself for each of those pin welds. And it's just a small deformation. It's just a heat affected area. But multiply that throughout the rest of the entire area that you're putting tiles on. It's a good way to test for structure in that direction. If they don't do the pins, it doesn't really validate the test as well. True, it'll get in the way of ropes or other things when people are going up and down, and it grabs onto your clothes if you brush up against it.
Can we zoom right onto the tip of that nose cone?
Of course.
Oh, that is
I'm
weird.
not familiar with that weld. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I'm not sure what that is.
It's definitely not the header tank itself. So that little part right there with that little cap, that would be the tank header. Sorry, not a header tank, but the entire thing should be a header tank. But there's something in there that is hanging off of that, I suspect.
I mean, yeah, there's one weld in there. We joked about it last night during the Patreon show and tell that there was a little face-looking weld. Kind of looks like 2 eyes and a mouth, but maybe I've just not seen this side of the nose cone before. I don't recognize this weld.
Yeah, it's the one that's outside of the windbreak from the. It's just a few forward from here, but that's the one with the little face. Is it actually the same one? Could you zoom out again just slightly?
I don't think so. That'd be a different weld.
Oh no, the happy face is off to the right, or the not happy, just the mumbly face. I don't know what you call that, just a straight line.
Yeah, that's very strange. I'm hoping that if really the first sign, if we're going to see something go into the cage, will be the nose cone tips will be cut off just above this header tank weld line.
Oh, maybe that's what that is. Instead of cutting it off and doing all that work, they're leaving it as it is, and they're going to pull from that tip right there, specifically the tank head, the
So, like,
cap.
using the integrated like just using the tip itself rather than the cap.
Yeah.
Does it
That's not,
look like this is more pointy than the one behind it?
the tiles kind of screw with that.
Is that why?
It's more rounded on the tiles because you've got just a little bit more. Plus those tiles, it looks so weird because you've got some like lighting from up in the tent area that there's natural lighting that comes through and it lights it up, so it does make it look a lot wider. But it's the same basic shape. You're just scaling it a little bit with the tile.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to look into that a bit more. I'm not familiar with that weld on the tip, but if I'm not, I learned something new, so it's always good.
Well, theory craft would be they're going to pull down from that spot and they've cut through the header tanks.
I like it. Although I wouldn't want to be the guy reaching through the methane header tank, through the Lux header tank to go tie a knot on that thing.
Well, it's not a rope. It would have already been installed by now, and it would have been just a pole that's bolted in or welded in.
Yeah, I guess they could use a pole. The issue is that this, in my opinion, I think this might be a reassigned nose cone. Like ship 29 was going to be a normal ship, and then it wasn't. So it begs the question of how does that make things more difficult if it does at all?
Yeah, we could go to the next photos here, and there's some good ones going along as well that match up with some of it as well. They do have the flaps, or at least flaps that could be installed on this, so that would be good for the nose cone jail. So doing a nose cone test, or actually putting flaps on it. But then, why is there no pins? That's one that begs the question. Okay, here's a really good one. Zoom in on the next to the United Rentals, that white box to the left. Zoom in that area. There you go. So that is supposed to be part of our nice white box that's the Pez loader. But they've capped it off. We're expecting it to be the part that deploys the Starlings directly into the Starship, and that's the 9-meter diameter that you would need. But then there's this part that has been capped off. So unless it's 2 pieces, and this is just let's say the top piece, we're a little bit perplexed, confused on this.
Yeah, I had said that it was just some kind of what do you call it? I don't know. They're welding the doors on 24 and 25 shut, so if you weld this shut, it kind of
Matches.
in memoriam of them. Yeah.
In memoriam, wow.
Yeah, I doubt that's the case. It's more likely the structure itself is a bit taller than we were expecting. So this is more of a cover that goes up above, but I don't know why they would have it built the way they did, or unless this is a second piece. So we've seen one that was similar to this. Maybe this is a second piece that goes with the first one. So this is the part that goes at the bottom that holds up the base of the second piece.
Well, this is definitely being held up by something because you can see it down here. Something 15,000 pounds or whatever this is.
Yeah, well, it's on its side right now. And I think that's just in front of it. I think it's actually just on stands, and it's just the right height for that.
It looks like it's
15,000
under
pounds.
it. Anyways, neither here nor there.
Yeah, what matters is the piece itself is
Right.
not exactly as we're expecting it. So this would be part of that white box, the Pez loader. You would put it in the integration site and bring this out with it to, let's say, the launch site or even high bay or wide bay, and you would insert your Starlinks directly into the vehicle.
Is this piece still part of it or no?
It looks like it is part of it.
It does.
So this
look
would be
like
that would be the base of it. So that's what it stands on, or normally would stand on.
So then this is vertical versus
So this
horizontal?
would be we'd be looking at the top surface right here. This would be looking down from the top.
Okay. Okay. Were you done? I'm sorry. Sorry.
No. I just suspect it's really like a table, except it's curved, and then what goes on top of it should be another piece that goes into the Pez loader.
Mauricio, you have made Spoilsport happy. You looked up.
What are we
Oh,
looking for there, or at least Spoilsport? Do you know what he was looking
He
for?
he just wanted to know what it was above, what it looked like above. He didn't have anything specific that he was looking for
Oh, okay.
because we never look up. So his
Spoilsport's a big advocate for robot welding, and he's been waiting for a robot to do the final stack on the booster.
do we even have we even seen anything close to that yet though?
No,
Yeah, I didn't
the
think
final
so.
stack for the booster is still done by hand. So, back to Ship 29's nose cone. Right when he was taking this photo, they were lifting up the lifting eyes for the nose cone. There are 6 of them on the tip. And you can see that telehandler right on the bottom lifting up one of the hooks. You scroll in.
It's hard to tell. Oh, this thing
Scroll.
right here.
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
Look at you.
So they're lifting that up and they put it on one of the
And you can
spots.
see the other one that they just put in, yeah?
Yeah.
Is this a counterweight?
That's a hook just in
Oh,
front.
just a random hook. Oh, I see it now. Sorry.
Yeah, it's for a crane. So you've got a crane to the right, and then behind it, you have the teleloader with the well, it's basically just a way of picking up objects using it as a crane, but it's not supposed to be, except when you use that orange or yellow that yellow piece there. The Caldwell, it's not a boom. I don't know what you call those things, but it goes right onto the telehandler. And that red piece is kind of a deadhead for the crane. It is a weight, so that the cable pulls down.
Yeah, it says Liebherr. I like that.
It's a Liebherr, but the crane is. I don't think it's a Liebherr. I think that's a. If you zoom out a little bit,
It's a
it's one
Buckner.
of the Buckners. But
It's
yeah,
still
I'm
a
not sure
Liebherr, I
which.
thought. I thought a Liebherr crane is still a Buckner crane.
It can be. I just don't remember which crane that is.
Yeah, I think it's I do think it's a Liebherr crane. But
Okay.
It kind of looks like Spacey or that other one with the wings.
Grover. It does look like a Grove type crane, but it could be a Liebherr.
I think this is a Liebherr. It might be an LTR 1220 maybe.
Where's Nate when you need him?
Yeah. We need crane people here.
Yeah, we actually have quite a few. There's Nate, there's Nick, there's not the Nick, not Chameleon Circuit, but the other Nick, Nick T, and Ollie G. There's a lot of people we know that like cranes.
Yep. Anyways, we do have some wonderful photos from the mud flats, so I think we should move on to keep a look at those.
Okay, okay.
While you do that, we do have a couple of donations. One of them was from Thomas Bolden, $20, and he's saying in praise of Jax's soothing voice and professional narration.
You know, I had never been told I have a soothing voice until I started doing this. This is kind of weird for me. I like it.
As you should.
But thank you. Thank you very much for the donation. It
compliment?
alongside the comment means a lot.
We have another one by Sharpie Claus. Good job, thumbs up. And then we had a question from the Mega Bay. We were showing the work platforms, and I guess somebody asked, could this be some type of work platform walkway for the ship or the booster for production?
Like the platforms in the wide bay, or?
Yes, and I think I kind of answered it in the comment section in the live chat there, but I don't know if anybody wants to go into detail on how they're going to maybe go off into what they're actually going to be used for, how they utilize them, you know.
So I guess a lot of them, there's one directly at the center of the booster, and you have a lot of wiring there. That's where your tank hatch is, your flight termination system, a lot of hardware. Those platforms are placed in a lot of hardware-rich areas where you're going to be doing a lot of work all the time, and you don't want to be using a man lift. So it's pretty helpful for them. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if we've actually seen them used yet.
Want to pause on this photo real quick?
Yeah, that's a good one to talk about.
Yeah, the flap is It's missing the other side of the cover. Jax, you want to cover that?
So in the always, they're always in an effort to reduce the mass of Starship. Sometimes too much. But the aero cover for the forward flap used to be like a front and a back, and the flap kind of slotted in. It is now only this front piece with tiles on it, and the flap isn't there yet, but that'll be stuck onto here. And we're yet to see if they'll add any more pieces, or if the back of the flap is going to be completely exposed. It's going to be quite interesting. They basically removed like 80% of this aero cover,
So
and
there's a
it's being
sorry.
mounted on here with struts.
There's a picture that Mauricio took. Like I think it's just one back, two back. Where'd it go? That looks like arrow covers. Where did it go?
That one right there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Really, that's a good point. We have the old style aero covers
There's another
sitting
one
here.
too. But anyways, yeah. There's like
These
two
We
are
of
can
them.
almost read that label, just almost, to see what the wiring for the aero cover is for. We've got looks like pneumatics and wiring inside the aero cover, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Such an interesting position to have that stuff inside of the cover. But yeah, these were Ship 26's aero covers back before stuff happened. And they've just been sitting here. They'll be scrapped eventually. They've moved on to the new design like we talked about with 28, and yeah, they've just always trying to reduce mass.
Well,
got-
well, one thing that talking about those pieces that will be scrapped, wouldn't they be great to be used on, let's say, Ship 29 if it goes in the nose cone jail? That you can do the structural test and have the fully welded on system as it would be. Wouldn't that be a better way to test the system with everything mechanically attached?
They probably could, but I mean, they didn't back with 12, so I'm not sure if they would this time around. It's an interesting thought, though. Maybe they could. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the thought is just reuse what you have as much as you can. Recycle, reuse, all of it.
Sometimes they're pretty good for that. Other times they waste everything. Anyways, here's some downcomers for the booster.
It's
Not
got his
imploded.
attention too.
Yeah, I mean, those are massive pipes.
And look at how reinforced they are. And this one, why does it look more ovular than this one? Is it just the aspect?
Yeah, imagine, what would you call the perspective? Probably screws with that a little bit.
And then is there a
Um,
reason why the left one would have more reinforcement than the right one and in different positions?
The booster downcomer does not have uniform circumferential stiffeners on it. I mean, it's not a uniform placement. Closer to the bottom, I'm pretty sure they do the more dense. They're more sparse towards the top. Whatever their simulations have shown them, I think they would have told them that they only need so much.
Oh, Mauricio, you're hot micing a bit there with your typing.
So do you think that the weight of the reinforcements are causing it to be a little bit more ovular in shape? Or again, that's just me seeing things.
It's the lighting. It's
Yeah.
really the lighting. So you've got a brighter spot on the right and a darker spot on the left, and the one on the right. And so it does look like it's an oval, but those are circles.
Okay. This is kind of cool.
And yeah, those will get welded together at some point, and we'll make a downcomer.
Do you know which one will be on top?
No, not off the top of my head, no. I could probably figure it out, but
Well, the one that's on the left should be closer to the bottom because it's got more reinforcement than the one on the right.
yeah, that's true. And I'm not sure if there are additional parts, like maybe a third, or there's the part that goes in the header tank. But generally I don't count that.
So we did get a few unique pictures this time. Mauricio did. When I say we, I mean he. We got pictures of stuff in the village, which I think is kind of neat. Let me grab that. This is kind of neat.
You get to see behind the old hotel. So that's the one it's like he went a different direction this time. And it's really cool because you can see this structure. I would not lean on it unless you've got life insurance. It's it's bad. So like zoom in on the left side, especially the bottom corner there. Oh, it's it does not make me feel secure in that still being there. It should be torn down as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Caution
But
tape
they
should keep it
replaced
away.
yeah, they replaced the grass, which is funny. It's like they're sprucing up the property, maybe to sell it to SpaceX.
Where
I
did they
don't know
fix the
exactly what's going
grass?
on. Off to the far right, you can see like there's patches of sod that they put in right there, and then very far right you'll see some other new sod.
You don't think this is just because of the rain?
No, they put in new sod here. That was the craziest part about it. There was some sod trucks,
Hmm.
and they were putting it down, especially on that right-hand side.
This is as right as she goes, Captain.
Ah, okay. But yeah, anyways, it's really unusual. Like I know that Maria has talked about that this is owned by SpaceX, but the property doesn't show it that way. It could be leased by SpaceX, but they have to tear this thing down because it's not usable as a structure in any way. And this was flooded out during a hurricane, so it could be that it's owned by multiple people, and going through and selling it is going to be very difficult because you have to work with numerous parties to do that.
Mauricio, are you walking or driving at this point?
I'm driving.
Okay.
By the way, there's the sod. That's the new stuff. It's
Here.
about 3 or 4 weeks old now. Yeah. You
Interesting.
can see that they still have a couple of rolls just sitting next to that dumping trash sign. This isn't trash. This is just sod. But yeah, they've got lots of water. What is that called? Pumps. So they're pumping water out of places all over the village.
What is this? Just another building?
It's a tiny home.
Okay, okay. Interesting.
You could also use it as an office if you wanted to, but they've been using a lot of those for tiny homes. There's the former BFC shed, which is no longer holding the BFC crane, nor is it a shed, it's the office. They repurposed it, and so they took out the door on the left, put in windows, put in a second floor, all of that to make it a nice little office there.
This
And
is
there's
that Starlink
piece-
building?
Yeah, that's the integrations building, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they put the Starlinks and everything else. And if you want to zoom in on that shipping container, the
This
orange one? Yeah. We talked about that last week. That piece right there, it's not what we were expecting it was. I thought it was could be a piece that would help offset, but it looks like it's just part of a jib, part of a crane itself.
These two pieces, yes? Or is this one
yeah,
piece?
so they would attach together.
Yeah. Interesting. And do you know what this is?
Looks like a stanchion of some sort, but I can't put it down what it would be for.
Wouldn't go in those, no, probably wouldn't go in those. Okay.
Dave, any clue on what that blue stanchion looking device is?
Not at all.
Usually you're really good at these things.
I was going to say, when did we get to the point that Dave is stumped now? Apparently right now we got there. All right. So those are the village pictures that he was able to take and share with us. And now to the production side. Launch site, doggone it, launch site.
You got them both backwards.
I
It's
know.
amazing.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
You just really want to be at the build site, even though it's the production site.
Look, dude, I'm an OTF kind of girl. That's all I know.
Wrong way to be.
You would
There's
say
a-
that.
Door. There's no way to get in unless you. Oh, go back to that picture. Oh, that door. If you zoom in, it's bolted closed completely. They don't want people going in or out of that door. You have to unbolt what looks like 8 bolts at the top in order to get in.
Does what is this? This looks like a
means that
badger
they,
or some sort
there
of
was probably a
intercom.
badge reader there at one point. Probably means that they put something inside where the door used to be that it's no longer accessible.
The funny thing is they still have the door handles, which usually would be like you'd remove the handles to say this door is not accessible.
Why?
You just put on blank off covers.
That's what this is, isn't it?
Well,
Essentially.
that kind of does
You
it.
can't see that from the inside.
Yeah, if the thing whatever is covering the door is gone and you go to open the door and you can't open it, it's worst case in an emergency. It would really freak you out.
But wouldn't that be what this thing is? And we see the back end of it?
Well, you wouldn't be able to see that from the inside.
No,
Maybe
no. On
you'd
the
see
inside, I'm saying there's a bar that they
There
have.
might be a second beam on the inside. I agree.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just a funny door. And this is on the electrical building, so they have a front entrance to the far right.
Very unique.
And there's that
favorite
tank.
thing. Yes.
We keep going back and forth on it each week. It's a water tank. It might hold liquid nitrogen or something. No, it's pretty much a water tank. Anything else to add to that, Dave?
I'd call it a water tank. Well, maybe antifreeze, but water.
True. Mostly water, then something else possibly. But it's thermal conditioning is the paramount part of it. That's why you insulate the pipes. And that's the funniest part about it. It's like we're looking at insulated pipes and we're like, oh, that looks like cryogenic piping because it's insulated.
We've been trained so well to think any insulated pipe has to be cryo. And it's like, well, it could be steam, it could be cold water.
Or hot water.
That's the Starbase effect. Oh.
This is
always
unique.
cryopipe.
What is
Yeah.
this happening? It's
We
not
have a new part
fog,
of
is
the
it?
berm coming up.
No, but why is there venting coming from the ground?
Oh, there's a vent pipe just to the,
There's a
to the
ground
right.
vent there.
It's behind that HESCO barrier.
Oh,
This is the one that fills
gotcha.
in all the dirt with
Yippers.
This would be nitrogen,
time.
right?
Yeah, this is every time the tank farm starts up.
Oh, no, wait. I think this is the
No, it's
LOX
probably
over...
LOX.
Yeah,
Probably
it's LOX over pressurization vent. The suborbital fuel farm has the same one.
This is an addition to the berm, right?
Yes, and you can see why they need it. So if you zoom in just right where your mouse is at to the
Sure.
right. So you can see those tanks just to the right.
Yes.
This just goes above those little tanks. So each one of those can hold up to, let's say, 120 bar. Not just PSI, but bar. So they are really high pressure gas cylinders for some of these. I'm not sure if all of them are around that range, but you don't want to puncture them. You don't want corrosion occurring from static fires or launches or any of that stuff. So they're putting in some rebar and they're angling it over these tanks. So it was a little bit of an oversight, I think, on that part. and originally I was like, they could just stick up some what are those called? Jersey barriers. So like
you
along
love
the
your
highway.
Jersey barriers.
Yes, along the highway you've got Jersey barriers. It protects you from going into oncoming traffic or that kind of stuff. You could just basically put that right there, and a lot of times it's just waste concrete that is used, and it'll be perfect. They're really cheap. You just bring it up and put it on top, and then you can bolt it down even if you want to. So this is going the extra mile and being extremely professional about making sure this lasts longer than it needs to.
Is it professional or is it just making sure there's no explosion?
Both.
Okay. Minimizing the catastrophic failure is always a good thing.
There was a question regarding the black tank that you guys were talking about a little while ago. It says, Joe Scamp, is the black tank ice storage for air conditioning?
Probably not ice, but it's probably chilled water.
So Dave, the piece that's behind it to the right.
Yeah, that's an air handler.
Yeah, it's got a pipe that looks very similar. It's got the.
Yep.
It looks like it, and then on the aerial view, it shows a trench going between the two locations on the right side of the tank.
So what it would have is a bunch of. This is a modern air handler, so it's got a bunch of what looks like almost like box fans, like from home, that make up a solid wall. And then beyond that, it has a big radiator, and that would flow chilled water through the radiator, and you blow air over it, and you get cold air.
So it's a swamp cooler or industrial swamp cooler.
Well, it's not a swamp cooler in that nothing evaporates. So it's a closed loop radiator with chilled water going through it, and then an air blower across it.
So this could be used on the liquids bunker. There is a system that they have for heat exchangers, and it's set up so that the water tank over there is connected directly to that, and I think they use it to vaporize the nitrogen as part of their the system over there. And I think that might actually be connected back into this. That would be
those two vertical air ducts you see behind that are probably the output from this blowing cold air into the bunker.
The one thing I don't see is the actually there might be at the bottom the return
there'll be
line.
2 on the ground and 2 at the top. Yep.
Okay. This is crazy. They had Booster 9's transport stand transporting Booster 7, and then Booster 7's transport stand went to Booster 9. And then they put on the pins just for Booster 7 to be used on and picked up and moved like this. So that was interesting, and they finally did it. So it was called that a few weeks ago.
I think it was Oscar who requested that we start naming the moving stands, because they keep moving them from different ships to different boosters and things. So we can't just call it, moving stand for Booster 9.
This would be like bits number 4 is what I would call it.
There is a question regarding the Booster 7 is since Booster 7 is returned to the production site right now, what do you think they need to work on?
Can you repeat that question, sorry?
Robustness.
Yeah, since B7 is returning to the production site right now, what do you think they need to work on? Like, what are they going to work on B7 for?
Well, the shielding is not complete, especially underneath. There's that. There's a lot of fit and finish stuff that you don't want wires sticking out. You want them tucked away and zip tied in, or whatever you need to do to keep them from basically getting damaged. There's a bunch of stuff like that underneath.
Maybe the final solution to your methane vent plumbing.
There's a lot of stuff that can be done.
Did you see the OLM?
Yeah, if you want to go back.
Yep.
Yes, it got toasty. Once again, they painted it, and it got very toasty. But we do also have a little bit later on, some OLM pictures that show the concrete as well.
What a nice thermograph of how hot it got at various heights on the leg.
Look at that.
I look at this and I think that they need some sort of fire exort, right? Basically, what is a deluge system in the middle of the legs. In the middle, though, like
I think they have it in the middle as well, because we can see it in the videos, right?
No, it's just at the top. It's only at the top. They don't have it at the middle.
Oh, you were talking about the midsection. I see.
Yes.
I thought you meant underneath the OLM in the middle.
No, mid-height.
Yeah, mid-height.
Got it now.
Need to be more specific on these things, but yeah, on mid-height, it would be great if they had another water pipe just to spray and remove some of that heat and really the energy that is created there. We want more water deluge, and maybe they'll do it, but it's gonna be a while probably.
Wasn't this pipe a lot more loosey-goosey in the beginning, or is it the same? It looks like it got harder.
It's the same.
It's got saddles on it, so it can't really move. They did have it without saddles when they first put it in, and then they went back and put all the saddles around it.
And then did they wrap it too? Because I remember it being more silver in color, like shiny silver.
It is silver, but it's just been
it's been cooked and rusted.
It's patinaed by the Raptors.
What's your other favorite word? Patina.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I think, Nate's favorite word, but it got used so much recently that now it's in everybody's vocabulary here.
So I think you have a possible idea, Thomas. We need a water pipe that runs up the inside face of each leg and has water jets that point out to either side to wrap around the leg.
Yeah, that would reduce the amount of painting that you would need, and it just would help remove some of that energy that's damaging everything here.
I'm curious though. It's doing what it's meant to do, right? This paint.
Yeah, but it's nicer if you don't have to keep repainting it every test firing.
Yeah, the one issue is you now have to have more water pumps and a system to pressurize the tanks a bit more. So we only have, well, actually we have 2 water tanks, but it's the equivalent of the 1 water tank, and the pipe diameters are the same. So you're left with a bit of an issue where you have to run new pipe, new compressors, new pumps, just for this extra bit that I'm adding in as an afterthought.
So in theory, you would be overruled.
Yeah. Until it's like, we actually do need this. We know that 39A's got a much better system so far. It comes up from the ground like a water fountain.
Yeah, but that was there from before, right? From back in the day.
No, it's brand new.
Is it? Okay.
That's that big hexagonal thing with all the nozzles in it.
Oh, that we saw from the flyover. Yeah.
Yeah, they buried it around the launch table itself, so
Gotcha.
it comes up from around underneath the launch table.
Makes sense. Were there doors here? What is this?
Well, each one of these is an entry.
That's where a panel would be or would have been.
Right? So they removed them all.
Or they're putting new ones in.
I think that was a panel, and it's been there like that for a little while now.
Open? I thought they were all fairly closed in the last set of firings.
No, I think all the doors were open. It's just some of them have panels over to be next to, beside, like the one to the left there.
It's actually good to have it open like this, because the last thing you want to do is allow pressure to build up in there. Let's say methane, even worse.
Yeah.
And you ignite it, and then the whole thing is like a giant pipe bomb.
Right. Cherry bomb. But worse, obviously.
Yeah. More expensive too.
There's a question and a donation I want to go through from 55 Chevy Guy, $5. Question is, can we see and discuss the new manifold assembly that was installed on the SQD swing arm a few weeks ago? I presume he's talking about where the scaffolding is at the SQD, right?
Yeah, that would be a few pictures ahead, I think, or maybe we already just passed it.
We just passed it.
How'd I get so far again? Oh, I hit last, didn't I? Doggone it. Sorry.
Yeah, I just use the arrow keys on my keyboard, and it fixes that whole issue.
I did that, and oh, Thomas, your magic.
Here we go. That's one of them, but you can keep going back. There's a better one. One more right there. Not that one. A head one. There you go. So I think that's the best view we have of it from the ground right now. Is that top left or top bottom image? Sorry, left bottom part of the image.
Left bottom here.
Yeah, so just up above a little bit more, but you can see
here?
The SQD up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one we just had at the end of the SQD with a scaffold underneath the QD itself.
By one you mean a photo?
Yeah, it's 2 to the right.
Got it.
Yeah, that'll work too.
No,
that was 2 to the right.
One.
Another one?
Yeah, there was one from like out on the mud flat.
Hold, please. Mud flats. SQD.
Oh, I think I see it. It's just before the kettle boilers at the tank farm.
Kettle boilers at the tank farm.
It's the photo we were coming up on before we went back the last time.
One left of that. There you go. Is that the one you're looking for?
No, it was literally the QD arm hanging out in space with looking at the QD itself.
Oh, it's even further back then. Okay.
Round and round we go. This one? Nope.
No, it's further to the left.
Left to the left.
That one.
There
This
we
one.
go.
This one.
No,
Dude,
that
just
one.
hanging out.
So
Yes.
they've got the yeah, that's the one, and they've got the
Now we
bracing.
have a picture of your QD.
Perfect. I was looking way too far ahead for the QD picture, but yeah, they've gone through and added a lot of safety railing. They've added that whole assembly up above, which had a manifold that you were talking about before. It's the area that's in that yellow cage. If you want to zoom in, if you can, we can see it looks like some new pipes. It's the yellow cage on the right. But yeah, we can see that the new pipes are connected now. So before those were just blank off plates everywhere. That one has been connected. It's the one that's being held up by the rope, and they only have like 5 or 4 bolts in there. Yep, so that's the one right there. It looks like they've got new pipe just to the left of that. So they are connecting, no, not those two, but those are connected. Yeah, that pipe is new. So all of that is being connected, and you can follow that a little bit if you go down. Bring the image down just a little bit. You can follow that pipe. It goes down that way. And then I think it keeps going down right there. And then it curves over to the left. If I'm looking at the same one. This
Wait,
is
so
where it
you're
gets
saying...
to be...
I lost it. There it is. Come back
Yeah,
here.
that's where it gets to be a bit interesting, because you're looking through a maze of pipes, which some of them will be the same exact size. And that's where it gets confusing.
This
I
is
guess
not
one
it down
question
here?
is,
Sorry.
yeah, well, one question I guess that a lot of people might be asking, what is that new assembly for? Because it wasn't there before for ship 20, and right when they did the full stack and they were testing it, that wasn't there. So what is it? What is its purpose?
I think it's for Ultra Purge. It's the new system they have on the Test Stand B, so that will be probably used here as well. So I think everything with Starship is now getting Ultra Purge. So
I think that will probably be answered when we get a lovely aerial picture of the QD arm on Monday.
good point.
And if you're a Patreon member, more than likely we're going to do a show and tell Monday night. So if you're not a Patreon member, you might, or a YouTube member, you might want to consider joining, because then you can join us in the RGV server to look at our first look at those photos that he takes from the flyover. And we haven't seen a flyover in 2 weeks? 1
No,
week.
it's Saturday
Last
or
Sunday.
Sunday.
Last Saturday it was. You're right. We did
6
the
days
show.
ago, so it's not been a whole week.
It just seems like it.
Seems longer.
Yeah, because we had a dry spell for a little bit before that.
Yes. Monsoon season is upon us. Did we answer the question? Hope so.
I don't know if we did. Could you read that question again if you still have it, Mauricio?
Yeah, so the question was from 55 Chevy Guy. Can we discuss the new manifold assembly that was installed on SQD swing arm a few weeks ago? And I think
Yes, we discussed it. Okay.
And as far as speculative of what it's for, I think you answered that as well.
Anything to see here?
Well, he did also ask if there's maybe an aerial image from Sunday that we can possibly look at, but I don't think you have those images in your gallery there, right, sir? Or you want me to pull it up and send it over to you?
Which ones? I'm sorry?
Aerial view of the SQD.
I don't have the aerial view, no.
I'll see if I can find one for you.
Did you guys want to say anything about this beauty of a shot?
Looks like it's either... No, it's not connected. It's separated, so they haven't put in the stabilization pins at this point.
Well, that would have been right as they were disconnected. Because it's off the OLM at this point.
So, yeah, okay. This is now in the past.
I mean, there was I guess before we move on, there was a question that was asked a while back, but from Jeff Jones. It says, has anybody heard talk of using starlight coating as paint to provide cheap, environmentally friendly thermal protection for the launch mount or the concrete under the launch stand.
I'm not sure what starlight coating is. I'd have to look that up here.
Is it actually a coating that we use? Have you heard of it?
I have not heard of starlight coating before, so this is the first.
I mean, I looked it up. It says Innovative Solutions Technology is a Michigan. Oh, actually, no, that's not the definition of what that is. So yeah, I'll leave that up to Thomas there to look it up.
Ball's back in your court, sir. Anywho, we'll keep going while you look up
Well, it
starlight.
says here, I mean, starlight is an intumescent material said to be able to withstand and insulate from extreme heat.
So basically, it doesn't allow heat in. That's what the evanescent part is talking about.
Well, that means it bubbles up.
It's like
okay.
this.
Sorry, I'm thinking of another word that sounds like that.
Ablative. Is the word ablative? Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah, ablative means it
Bubbles.
flakes off, and the particles flaking off carry the heat away.
Dissipation.
You want to talk about the cladding? I don't know if we've gone there yet.
We haven't gotten to the cladding quite yet, but we can get to that when we get to that picture, unless we skipped
This one?
it.
I didn't skip it.
Oh well, there's a couple of different claddings. One's the tower cladding. One is the coverings for the legs.
Right.
So they've gotten more done on this one. If you actually look up to the top of this leg on the left.
Okay, let me.
Oh, it's just right there. You didn't have to change the picture.
Where? This is as high as it goes?
Yeah, the top left leg, or part of the top of this image here on the left. So they have
That is
those
my
covers
left.
done, or they've added it, and then now they need to bolt in the rest of it. I do actually have that aerial shot for you as well, if you want to pull that up.
Okie dokie.
But yeah, they're just going to bolt in those panels for the top left part so that you can access the piping in the background.
Why does it do this to me?
I don't know. You said after, and it should have just been to the one to the right. So
Yeah. To the right, to the right. Anyways, why don't you continue to talk and I will get it together.
Well, now we've got a good shot of the coverings that we were talking about earlier. What did you call those again, Mauricio? I could never remember the word to save my life.
Cladding.
Cladding, yes.
Wait, you called it cladding too just now.
Well, he called it cladding, then I just repeated him, and I just couldn't remember the word. Like it disappears into a black hole after about 30 seconds.
Okay. When you asked him what the word was, you said, "I don't know what you call the cladding. What do you call it?" I thought that was funny. That's all.
I think I call it covering.
Oh, so maybe that's what you said.
Similar sound, but yeah. So the coverings, they've been actually gone all the way down to the bottom on this one. There is just this one odd panel. We'll see if you can spot it when we get to those pictures as well.
Sorry. Forgive me.
Nice background.
Thank you. It's a Mauricio picture, actually. Yeah.
I had forgotten I had been putting up a Q&A here, but the questions did roll through, so there's some other questions that need to be answered. Regarding the cladding, are they going to put cladding on the arms? I'm guessing the chopsticks.
I hope not. They could, but I hope not. The reason why is that you're putting more stress on the arms. For one, the cladding weighs something, but for two, it's the surface area that you're now increasing the surface area, especially at the top of the with the cladding or of any kind. You don't want to have the Raptors hitting that in any way and causing dynamic forces on your structure. The only dynamic force you want is the booster gently landing on the chopsticks. So that's about 1 meter a second, and then they have basically a whole system in the chopsticks to help absorb that. It's like shock absorbers, similar to what you'd have, let's say, on a semi truck. It's either air and or fluids with this one, so that they can just take that 1 meter a second and really dampen it. so even less dynamic forces.
Yeah, and I don't think you need cladding on the chopsticks because with them swung out, they're out of the direct impingement flame area.
A lot of artists have made a rendition with cladding on them, but I think it's just a cheap way of throwing at something that's a extruded triangle, basically.
I think it may go back to a SpaceX rendering way back.
Yeah, but it's just a really cheap way of rendering it.
Here's your photo.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and zoom into the QD. We can see if we can spot any pipes there that we didn't see last week on that yellow area. You'll want to move over to the right.
Yeah, it's just not cooperating. There we go.
Yeah, so there is actual pipe work already installed as of last week. You can see at least one piece, not all of them are installed, so it still has the blank-off plate on the right that we can see. But they have installed a bit since then. So last week there was some, this week there's even more. So it's looking at that piece that's surrounded in yellow. It's basically highlighted for us.
Just for your viewing pleasure.
But yeah, it's not giving us more than we already had because it just disappears on that center pipe.
Sorry.
So keep going and look at some more cladding here if we can.
Sure. It'll move in just a moment. Less than 10 seconds.
I mean, there was a couple more questions.
Let's go for them.
Let's see. Let me pull them up again.
It does look a lot better with cladding. Sorry.
Will the recent FCC decisions affect launches, Starlink, and iterations?
So the FCC decision was really bizarre. So it goes into the politics of the thing, but basically they had several postings from competitors that require Starlink. Let's say if there's going to be a collision, what it sounded like was one collision in 200 years or equivalent, that they would have a basically hold on any new Starlink launches, which is kind of insane. It's like you could basically have a satellite that's another satellite intentionally colliding with it, and that would basically have the same result as far as the Starlink side of things. So it would be China or Russia or somebody decides we're going to take out a Starlink, and that's with their own satellite, nonetheless, and that would just kill the entire program. The same thing should be applied to their competitors if that's the case. So that would be Kuiper and OneWeb and anybody else putting up large constellations. But yeah, it gets into the politics of it, which is kind of fascinating, but at the same time, it's just terrible.
But even so, it's 7,500 Gen 2s, which is a little over twice as many Gen 1s as they already have up.
Yeah, and they don't need as many because of the Gen 2. It has more capability. It's about, 10 times the capability of a Starlink 1?
Yeah, that's their guess.
Here are a couple of more questions now that we're at the Orbital launch pad still. One of the questions was, what about using TPS tiles someday on the legs, like once things are mostly finalized?
They would not be able to take it. So the TPS tiles are meant for basically a low impact. So when it's coming in from the atmosphere, you're having small particles just hitting the tiles, but it's not like you're slamming it directly into the thick troposphere. You're much higher, so it's just very small amounts, but it heats up very quickly because you're having a lot of particles hitting at 16,000 miles an hour. You're having to bleed off that speed, that kinetic energy or potential energy into kinetic energy, and that energy comes out as heat. So it wouldn't work for the heat shield tiles, being underneath the table. They just get destroyed. It would be like putting your glass plates underneath the launch table. They would just get shattered.
So I just went ahead and hit the slideshow. So we've been looking at photos. I'm just going to slow down that slideshow just ever so slightly. Let's go
I do
for
a 7.5 is my my
7.5.
default.
It is. It takes
There's
a half.
another. I guess there's another question regarding the oil lamp as well by Just a Mimo. Have you noticed the wind seems to affect the fire suppression system during static fires, and it also areas of protection?
Yeah, so the wind does carry the water and the gases that they exude out from the fire system. So it does move it in a direction. So let's say if the wind's going north, the legs on the northern side will be better protected than the legs on the south side. But it's not by a whole lot. I mean, you could look at the legs themselves, and there we go. There's the strange one. Can you spot it? The cladding that just doesn't look right. Not
Is that
that
what
one.
you mean, or the one up here?
The one down at the bottom left.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit.
What are the
It's
red
really
things?
Weird.
Like
I think those are the
holes?
impact points of some rocks when the first static fire.
But why are they like they look fairly circular? Wouldn't they be
Remember
all
that
jagged? Remember what,
the
Dave?
cladding that's strange on the bottom there is the box that's twice as thick as the rest of the cladding because it's covering pipes.
Yeah, but those two spots, those were impacted, I believe, by larger pieces of concrete, and it removed the paint off the surface. So those are just like impact sites, just like bullets made of concrete smashing into those plates down there. So that's why you see those two orange spots. Because they weren't there before like that. They went up and they would look normal, and then static fire happened, and then they looked like this. And that was before they installed the Fondag. So that was like the Martite, or Martite plus concrete equaled that.
Is this also a piece that's damaged, or just looking similar?
Yeah, it looks like they took a normal piece and they cut it up and welded it there. It's a really weird piece. I know that Jax was complaining about it, and I agree. It just doesn't quite fit. And I think the rest of the pieces.
Like I said, that's because this section has the box covering over 2.5 panels worth of cladding, so it's not going to be a even fit.
Yeah, this is a very custom fit. But yeah, if you look at the other sides and the other pieces, it doesn't look like this exactly.
I have a random question. What is this piece right here?
Can you zoom in on it a little bit?
Of course.
Looks like it's part of the booster. It's the cup top of the APU or HPU. Sorry.
HPU.
Yep.
Is it?
So yeah, so it's curved in a little bit on the HPU.
It's the roof over the HPU aero cover.
I got you. I just didn't think it doghoused like that, but that's okay. Thank you.
Well, the speed tape really exposes that curve a bit more. Oh, that cladding looks super good. So we've got 3 rows right now.
It's crazy. These look like they're right next to each other. Like right next to each other.
They're 40 feet apart, or less than 40 feet apart.
That's it? I thought they were a little bit more than 40 feet.
No, they're 70 feet apart.
From the leg to the table?
Something like that.
I'll have to bring up Google Earth again and measure it one more time.
That's it, Dave. You have challenged Thomas.
Got to keep his Google foo going.
Yeah, his Google foo shui. Is this the pipe that Jaxie was talking about? On the 2 that had shifted that he'd highlighted in red?
Yeah, so that's a autogenous pressurization pipe. And I'm not sure where that connects down on the bottom end of the booster, because that's what he was talking about specifically. But that might be one of them, because there's came off in a pair. One would be for LOX going to the, or one would be hot gas oxygen going to the oxygen tank, and then this is the methane tank line.
Yeah, those in that photo, those were more for position reference than anything.
Oh, I guess I took it too literally. Sorry.
But I mean, those were the same parts. I mean, you're right.
Hooray!
Yay.
This is actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
like-
Dave, I'm getting about 40 feet from the table to the integration tower leg to the side of the table.
Okay.
It's very
Are
short distance.
Are you using a water bottle?
No, I'm using Google Earth, which has a nice satellite photo, and I'm getting exactly 38.98 feet, but there's some give or take there. It might be even shorter than that, which that's scary.
It's funny. These are those pipes that they were zooming in on the other day, a while back now, right? To see if they moved.
Yes, they wanted to see if it was open or closed, and
Like they were actually moving for open and closed, right?
it'll be long before the testing where it does that open or close. So you'd have to stare at the thing before we have testing, like the day of or the day before, to see it open or close.
Mm. What is this? Oh, PPE. You have to wear PPE stuff here?
Yeah, because there's so for instance, that green light right there. I was watching Lab on VR, and he was out there, and that was going off. It was a red light, and the siren was going off too nearby. So there's those. It basically can measure up to 100 if you zoom in on the green light area. It can measure oxygen. First off, its main purpose is to measure oxygen levels, but it's able to also measure about 100 other components in the atmosphere as well, including methane. So if there's high methane concentrations, it would be able to do that, but it's mostly for oxygen levels.
Wait, so are you saying it's a sensor that then changes colors based on the amount of oxygen or lack there is in the air because it's venting?
Yes. So it basically is
That's
saying,
actually kind of cool.
yeah, and we saw clouds of nitrogen gas going into that area. It was condensate, but it was.
We've seen it a few times, most recently, particularly.
Yeah, but it was such a low concentration of oxygen that alarm went off several times.
Yeah, and the lights were always red for a long time, like the whole evening.
Well, so there's lights that go off that are red. Basically, it means that the area is unsafe. We'll see that with booster lifts before static fires, when the take farm is doing its activities. Nobody's supposed to be around there, so that's where you get the red lights. It's a do not enter at that point in the facilities. So this one says this area, there isn't any issues with low oxygen. They've got 2 gas meter or gas monitors, and it's not just a 4 gas monitor. It's like 1 plus 100 is what it is capable of doing. I looked up the model and read all about it. It was quite fascinating. But anyways, it's redundant, so if one of them goes out, you still have a good safety assurance that this area should be safe or safe enough to be working in.
Interesting, very interesting. What are the little valves for? They're on all of them, the motors.
Zoom in on it real quick. They look like bleed off lines.
For the motor?
It might not be directly going into the motor. It could be going to the pump.
Probably oil for the bearing.
Okay. So bleed off for the oil.
Or fill and drain for the oil. Yeah, and the bearings, grease ports, whatever, something like that.
So forgive me.
That's where the lower bearing for the motor would be, and then there'll be a bearing in the housing that the motor is sitting on for the pump shaft.
By the way, one of the things that we kind of figured out, you'll see it on the an upcoming photo here. We kind of looked at this last week, so zoom into this. We're not looking at the orange sign, but what's next to the orange sign? No, not that one. Not the oil engine oil. Go to the right, up and right. So the electric motor here, zoom up, up. There we go. So it has some nice writing on it. It looks like they might be having electrical issues at the fuel farm. That's why they keep changing out motors. So
it says electrical test
yes.
something day.
And so they tested this on 9/27/2022. So that was September 27th. I think they're having electrical shorts or something along those lines at this facility.
Rohan did it.
But it would explain some things of why they keep replacing motors. The pumps, we can understand that if there's damage to the pumps, but the motors shouldn't be normally damaged. But when they're replacing motors, it now kind of adds up. If you kind of look back at some of the other pictures we have, their entire power distribution system is based on these generators. They're nice diesel generators, diesel to electric generators. They have a large number of them, but the problem is that they could be producing some unreliable power, and an AC motor like this is not going to be liking it so much.
Is this actually like plugged in, if you will?
That one isn't plugged in,
Okay.
or it shouldn't be,
Okay.
because it's just on a pallet.
No.
That's what I was
Yeah,
curious. Okay.
But it says live voltage on it, which is pretty
Yes.
funny. I think it's covering up an area that would be live voltage.
Do you think this is voltage or wire?
It says live and then voltage. It's like
Okay.
messed
Well,
up.
that's probably from when they took it off where it was originally, where the J box was. They put that board there, and it just stayed there after they moved it.
And here's some pieces we kind of are putting together right now. So that right there is basically looks like a hydraulic pump system.
This.
Yeah. So that plus the motor oil that's in those canisters, plus another piece. If you actually go to another image, it's off to the left. Can you show all the images again real quick? I'm trying to figure out where you're at.
You want it on the side or the bottom?
Either is fine.
Oops. Single. Side. There we go.
All right. So it's looks like 2 down from here. So that goes with it as well. I think the oil might go into this.
Oh shoot! Sorry. So sorry. So sorry. Go ahead.
So the question is, what is it all for? Still is up for debate and question. But the puzzle pieces are starting to come together. We can see some of the picture, and then this entire frame structure behind it, I think, also goes with it, because it does have what appeared to be some either hydraulic or pneumatic piping, but it's just on this weird little structure. So, Dave, do you have any other clues or elements that you throw together on that?
I was trying to remember what the aerial of this thing looked like. We could see it in the last set of aerials. It almost looked like a fan assembly to me, but I don't think it is, looking where those 2 pipe flanges are.
Yeah, if you actually can move the image over to the right or go back 2 images, you'll see the pneumatic or hydraulic piping right there at the corner. So it's that little black piece, or the black frame on the left.
Yeah.
You can see that there's, just zoom in right there. That'll be fine. To the right. Zoom in some more. It's next to the castor oil parts.
Is it
Yeah,
here?
right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are all look like they go together. Actually, that's a panel
that looks
leaning
like
up next to it.
That's a
Yeah.
panel laying on the ground next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Looks
scratch
like a
that.
faceplate.
That actually should go with the rest of this, I suspect. It's just, it originally looked like it was a panel that was on this piece, but now I'm second guessing that.
Yeah, and I'm still a little questioning what that punk pallet is, because it looks like it's 2 different things.
It looks like it has pneumatics and hydraulics, which
Well,
really confuses me.
I can't tell what the big motor goes to, because all we can see is the belt cover on it. We can't see what's on the back side of the pallet. Well, I was going to ask, sometime when there's not a truck there, if they could zoom Rover 2 in on this, because it's had a pretty good shot of it from the top.
Yeah, so I've seen it on Rover 2, and it did look like it was pneumatic and hydraulic, and it was very odd.
So the left side of it, the right side of it looks like a unit hydraulic power unit.
Is that a filter as well on the right?
Okay. I'm
Could you
confused.
zoom in?
Where are you
We're
looking?
talking about the gray device
This
on
thing,
the
right?
skid right there. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Zoom in on that.
Done.
Yeah, so that looks like a square tank, and then on top of the tank is a pump, and on top of the pump is a radiator, and the radiator has its own motor, and the hydraulic fluid, would then go through the filter and out to the output line.
This
So
would
that
be
looks
the
like
output line?
That would be the input.
the
Got it.
black rubber
This one.
hose.
Got it.
Yeah, that one. So that looks like a unit hydraulic pack. That's on one end of the skid. But
The
then
other
there's
end
The other end has
pneumatics.
this huge motor. I
That
mean,
we
that's like
can't
a
see.
70 or 100 horse motor.
That motor right there you're talking about?
The one
On
with
the
all
left.
the fins on it. The one with all the fins on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then to the left you see the pneumatics and the valve control systems.
Well, all I see.
Or it could
is,
be hydraulics too.
Yeah, all I see is the belt cover.
And that's on the top left above the.
Yeah, whatever it's driving is going to be on the skid height behind that motor. So we can't see it through the belt cover. So my only hope was that Rover 2 could look over the top of the motor and see what the next piece back was.
Tell me what these things are. They both have them. Why?
You could use those for bleed off. You could use
I
them
would say a
for
bleed or
pressure,
sampling port.
You just let it just bleed out?
air.
You want to get air out of the circuit.
Okay, so that's the only thing
And
it's bleeding
we
is
also
air.
have things like that with just a little needle valve that you can pull a fluid sample if you need to sample your fluid for contamination and send it to a lab.
So are they like pressure cookers? When the pressure builds up, it just lets it out?
Some are, some have, some you have the ability. They make very nice water separators that auto vent. So it'll vent until it's filled with fluid and then it will stop, or it'll vent when it fills with air, fills with water till the water drains out. Both are regular pneumatic type tools.
Interesting.
But yeah, we can move on. This
Okay.
is just one of those like fancy. What is this? It's probably just a
Actually-
contractor.
Actually, no, there is one other thing I just noticed.
sorry.
Go back one.
Mhm.
The crate behind the pallet to the right, they took the end off.
This thing?
Yeah, it used to say TS.
Yeah, I wonder what that has inside of it.
Exactly. Rover 2 to the rescue, please.
Once we're done with the images?
Well, we can't. Yeah, we need Rover 2 and we need to have no truck in front of it.
Okay. And yeah,
Trucks love to park there.
I'm also not Zach Golden. Just in case anyone didn't know.
But yeah, this looks like such a big popcorn maker. But yeah, keep going.
It's happening.
There was a question regarding the chopsticks. Do you think that the from all over the space, or do you think the Starship will? My bad, that's a different one. Are they planning to make the chopsticks a lot faster, like in the SpaceX animation?
I'm trying to think of any chopstick movements I've seen that were fast like that. I haven't seen any. Have you, Jax or Dave?
Well, they put the new pistons on fully plumbed in the system, and then it all kind of popped. So I mean, like in theory, they should be able to move. I mean, faster than they do now. It's just they aren't set up to, and they need to figure out how to make it work properly.
Was that before or after they took out the scaffolding?
They
That
still
was-
scaffolding.
No, that was when they sprayed hydraulic fluid down the front of the tower.
Yeah. And they haven't been fully plumbed in since then. But I mean, they should be able to move considerably faster than they do now. It's just they don't have the hydraulic system plumbed in to do that right now.
Yeah, they want to be able to capture the boosters first, or basically have the boosters land on the chopsticks. So the chopsticks need to move in pretty quickly and precisely to do that. Then you can do starships later after the fact. But boosters are the hardest one right now. And as long as the booster is able to make it to that position and the chopsticks are able to close, sure, you can land the booster on the chopsticks. It's just going to be very difficult. A lot of simulations, a lot of software, and then actual testing. We haven't seen anything close to that quite yet.
I'd imagine before they go to do the first catch attempt, we'll see the arms do like a simulation themselves. So
Well, we know they want them to move faster because that's probably why the KSC arms are shorter, so they don't weigh as much.
mhm.
What's funny is the KSC arms have some of the same equipment as well,
Hold
which really makes the thing move. You have a question on something
What is
that you're
this?
going through? That's the Raptor lift
That's
stand.
what I thought. Okay.
So you put Raptors on the right-hand side,
Yep.
and the
Oops,
crane just
sorry.
brings it up, brings it in, puts it into the slot, and then they built that system so you can quickly put Raptors in and out. I saw them put a Raptor in, or take a Raptor out, put it in about 15 minutes, and then they moved it back underneath the table, and that took them actually longer. It took them about 30 minutes to move it underneath the table, then lift it up, and then they were able to install it and get everything all worked with. But the entire mechanism slides up and down. It's like a scissor lift, like the one on the left.
How does this slide? You mean this piece goes up and down?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's
For
a scissor lift
everything-
on stilts.
Right.
Yep.
Or like the big white things in Star Wars.
Well, it's like the Raptor truck for the test stands, but on top of a huge platform. And
Yeah, then
is
this. Go ahead, sorry, Dave.
I said this is the OLM work platform that unfolds its wings and lets you work on all the Raptors at once. But you
Yeah.
can't install them from this.
We like to call this one BART.
Why do we call
As
it
a whole
BART?
acronym. It's an acronym.
Is it a Jax acronym?
No, it's a Lab Padre or Nerdle or just the
Gotcha.
community in general.
Yeah, I
likes
think it
to call
was
it BART.
Nerdle. Yeah, big aerial work platform.
This is the stuff that was catching the oil from here, right? Potentially, right there. That dude, this dude are the same, yes?
There's similar plastics, it looks like. Can you zoom on the one on the right, just the bucket there, to see what that looks like? Yeah, it's the same. They were capturing oil with that one, but the one on the left, I think those are just used as they should normally. There's stuff inside like cloth.
There's a whole stuff inside like full.
You mean like oily rags?
Yeah, there's
Maybe.
a whole thing in here. This
Yeah, there
puppy's
are some
full.
rags there that look, you're right, very oily or dirty.
And the bucket is full. Anywho.
What pretty cladding.
Looks beautiful.
Is it white from damage?
I think it was just on the concrete and got stuff on it.
Okay.
I feel like they do need to go through again after all of this and then paint the legs, paint this all again, just so that they have a nice, good, well, not just power wash it. Well, yes, clean it, but paint it again just to get it all nice and longevity wise, just right there. Because right now it's just got the primer for the paint for the legs, and they need a lot more work. Now the area that you can see that are these little tracks on the left, and those will never get painted. So it'll always have that nice patina rust look.
Yeah, we saw them scrape the paint off of it.
Yeah, it interferes with the wheels.
Oh, that was a fun time.
Wasn't it though?
We have some questions on, I guess, in general questions from Aish Nicole and Oliver the Space Nerd. Should we expect the 33 engine static fire or not? Because Elon mentioned that after a long duration static fire, they would do a wet dress rehearsal and afterwards the orbital flight. And then the other question was, do you think that Starship will fly this year? I'm thinking February, and I left the poll in the comment section so that you guys can vote on that as well.
But February's not this year.
Or next year.
They're asking our opinions.
Yeah, I've put out my thought as that it would be between the beginning of February and February 20th, and that was based off of the original timeline with NASA. I just multiplied it by 3, with a little bit of room for wiggle because the exact date of when they gave it to NASA wasn't clear. But the thing is that the internal numbers are optimistic. They're Elon time, and multiplying it by 3 gives you a better answer.
Yeah, so I mean, for the first question, will they do a 33 engine static fire? Yes, they will. We do have that one slide from NASA or whatever with information that SpaceX provided them, and it indicated that they would do a 33 engine static fire. That timeline Elon gave, I mean this in a very nice way. I wouldn't listen to it for a second. With him saying one more static fire, there's not a chance. I would say most certainly we will see more than one more static fire.
It's a minimum of one. That's the better way to look at it.
Well,
E-
I would say because they replaced 2 engines, that almost guarantees at least 2.
Yeah, I think that came and went. We're going to be seeing, I think it'd be fair to say that we're going to be seeing more than just one more static fire. And in terms of launch, I don't know. Thomas, you said your guess. I've counted 2022 out for a little while now. Yeah, we're probably looking at Q1, maybe Q2 if something goes terribly wrong. I don't know. But that's my opinion. Anybody else have a guess here?
That's pretty much Thomas and I all seem to sit middle of Q1 seems to be a good ballpark number to be shooting for.
Yeah, the one thing we didn't address also in this is the FAA part. So there is plenty of requirements that they still need to do with the FAA. Some of them are just ongoing, or in case of an accident, here's the things you're supposed to do. A bunch of that is there, but some of it's like we don't know if that's been done. One of them was like literally a book report. They had to write a book report. We don't even know if that's done. We hope that they put it off to the local high school or junior high or elementary school or something like that. That would be awesome to have them write it.
UTRGV, come on, get them involved.
But yeah, just have the school go through, write the book report for you. I know it's cheating, but it's a good way to cheat.
Some people would call it ingenuity.
It's called outreach.
Exactly.
Is there something happening to this ship? What are they doing to it?
They're adding more and more scaffolding, and that idea I keep saying is that they're going to go all the way up to the top. That theory is
But for what
sticking to the wall
purpose?
more and more for fit and finish.
Oh,
So they've been removing tiles. So if you can get some other pictures of the other side, we can actually look at the tile work as well, and that is actually kind of huge because it used to be had, I think you have to go further down, or yeah, there we go. Actually, the up. Sorry. Perfect. Those ones. The tile work is almost all back, besides those 4 tiles. The one on the top right you can't touch, and the one in the middle is still too tall to reach to. But the lower ones, those are the ones that they're working on. So with the scaffolding.
so all that scaffolding is just to
Do you want
fix
to go
these
back some
few
images there?
spots? As you like.
Yeah,
All
perfect.
the way back? Oh, just stay here?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
these are the
sorry.
areas that they had removed row after row of, or actually one row of, I'm sorry, 3 rows of tiles specifically, and then they did some zigzag stuff, and they were removing tiles off of the areas with the welds. Where was the weld between the 2 rings? So the question is, did they put in reinforcement on those ones where they removed like 3 tiles at a time? The one where they removed 3 rows of tiles, they did put some reinforcement there, and it would be a weld doubler, so it helps relieve strain and stress between the 2 if they're stretching or they're pushing a little bit, but not a whole lot on the pushing side. It was thin enough that it wouldn't really do much on the thin side. But yeah, it's really an interesting question of what they did. We don't have any footage, but I suspect what they went through and did was put plates behind the ones with the row of 3. So that's my theory or speculation of what happened. And they just did a couple of welds, and then they threw the tiles right on, so we had no clue what they did afterwards. And those would have basically been plates with pins attached already, so they don't have to work with the glue or anything else like that. They just throw on a plate that's welded, it has pins on it, and throw on the tiles right after. So you could do that in less than a night.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is this part of the scaffolding, I think they're almost done with, because all of this is in the skirt area, and that's the unpressurized tank area, which would need extra reinforcement. The other piece of scaffolding is the huge access stairway up to the nose cone access port, and that looks to be like a separate unit that they built it up because they needed it, and they didn't build the rest of it up, which makes me suspect they're not going to build the rest up.
You could go back to that other image that was further down, I think. Much further down with the scaffolding.
Okay.
Here's a question from Jim Cavett. Will the scaffolding remain for future uses, or will they take it down?
Oh, they have to take it down.
Yeah, this is their only static firing stand. It'll have to go.
Yeah, it's wrapping the entire starship. You can't lift the starship out of this.
If you did, it would basically be a whole thing of Jenga. All the scaffolding would be just flying everywhere.
It'd be like when the chopsticks ran into their scaffolding.
Oh, what?
Wait, how come when I said that nobody laughed? Dave says it and you guys all laugh.
Well, just the imagining of
You have to
Jenga
give it the
versions.
right build-up.
I guess. Me and my poor joke delivery.
Here's another question on that somebody just posted from Senti. Did the repaid? Wait, I don't know if it's a typo or not, but did the repaid go above the thrust dome? The removed tile looked below thrust dome, but they have been inside hatch. He's talking about, I think, the removed tiles that they took off.
Removed tiles were all below the dome. Yeah, so they didn't touch the LOX tank externally.
Yeah, it was all the skirt area.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, I was looking at it zoomed in, thinking I was looking at an area of the skirt, but the black knitting on the table, the test stand, threw me off, and I thought it was much higher than I was when I was first looking at that 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's not the dome; it's just the unpressurized skirt. It's like 6 feet up. That's how high it is, and the skirt section itself is what, 3 rings, so that's 18 feet.
Yep.
What's this one?
Oh, and we're not. What about the water tank?
Oh, it's a water tank. Again, nothing.
Yeah, it's probably for restrooms or something over there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hand wash station.
Yeah,
Well,
pressurized.
we have about 13 minutes left in the stream, and now's a good time to remind everybody to go ahead and like the stream if you enjoyed it. If you want to be notified of when we have our regular shows, if it's a Saturday or a Sunday, sometimes it moves around, go ahead and hit that reminder, the bell button. And then if you are interested in seeing these photos as they come out, because Mauricio always does show and tells the evening of the day he takes the photos, whether it's a flyover or ground photos, you're welcome to become a Patreon or YouTube member and join us in the RGV server. He gives out a notification both on Patreon, YouTube, and in Discord. So everybody can come who has the access to come. And we're all there because we all want to see. We're all anxious, chomping at the bit. And what you hear right now is exactly what you'll hear that in the night. Me asking a whole bunch of questions and these dudes telling me I'm wrong most of the time. No, I'm kidding.
I think you'll hear even more speculation then than you hear now.
Yes.
And it's very lively, and you're allowed to ask us questions directly in the text channels or in voice. So you can pipe up and ask a question, and we love those. So please join us if you're a Patreon member on and connect your account to Discord, so that way you get notifications.
Yes.
Actually, it should connect directly, so make sure you get Discord as well.
You want to join RGV's Discord server. And I don't know, Mauricio, if you can put that in the chat as well in case anybody's interested in joining. In addition to that, and along with what Thomas was talking about, not only are there show and tells, but before and after each stream, we invite all of our Patreon members to come in. And before the stream, it's mostly just listening to us prep for the stream, but after the stream, generally we have lots of conversation. And oftentimes if there are photos that we haven't seen, or if we don't ask all the questions in the time that's allotted, we'll go through them then. So you're welcome to join us there as well. But
We're missing something. We're missing the video of Sunny running around playing in the water. Do you have that one?
No. Was there a Sunny video today?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Mauricio posted it. Did you post it, Mauricio?
No, I didn't post it, but I can send it.
Yeah, send it if you can real quick to let Indian Star have that.
We can use that as the pre-outro.
Exactly. I just saw that.
You can actually just play it too if you wanted to. I can flip over to you if you'd like.
I don't have it, but I think Mauricio
Not you,
does.
Mauricio. I meant Mauricio, sorry. I should have been more clear in my pronouns. Sorry.
Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second.
Take your time. We've got 10 minutes. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think Sonny's going to protest if you don't show his video.
I'll protest.
I think that's more true. Yeah, the people. Astro Joe will be the first to protest. Astro Joe and Jen, they'll protest as well.
Okay, I got it pulled up already.
Yeah, I want to share your screen and then
He is. Let
you
me
start
switch
can
it over.
Share.
Yes. Do.
Listen to this hot fix this thing real quick.
It's what we do, my friend. It's what we do. All right, come here, you. I don't know why. Hold, please.
Play it again.
Okay, don't look. Close your eyes. There we go. One more
Yeah, my
time.
trip was 30 afterwards. One more time? Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
one more time.
Were you all wet after that? That's a lot of water. Sonny's literally wet from the neck down.
Looks like good duck hunting water.
Without ducks. Look at how happy he is. Look at that smile on his face.
His bandana's all wet. Poor little thing.
By the way, how does your truck handle this? I know you bring him with you in your truck. How does it handle with him?
I was talking about it yesterday, how, at the beginning I would put up there's these type of, I guess, blankets you put in the back seat for dogs to prevent them from ruining the seats and all that. But honestly, after a while, it's just you stop caring. You kind of, especially like after this particular time, he was muddy and everything. I have a towel back there, so I dried him off. But yeah, it's pretty bad and it smells like wet dog.
I was just going to ask you, does your truck smell like wet dog now?
Yeah, it smells. I mean, I open the windows, it kind of airs out a bit. And he's not with me all the time, so it's only I usually just take him out there for Starbase when it's just me and him. I wish I can take him out there for my regular job, for my regular photography jobs, but I'm not gonna leave him in the truck by himself. So that's just cruel.
Yeah,
But,
no. Oh, look at his
But
face.
yeah, But yeah, he knows. Oh, one thing is that when I don't know how he knows, but he's asleep the whole way for the most part. We have a routine in the morning, so we go buy breakfast. He eats with me
What does he eat, by the way, when you get him breakfast?
Well, he has his own food, right? But sometimes I'll buy like a burrito, and I'll just give it to him. I don't know.
Nice.
And so we'll be eating the same thing sometimes. And he sleeps most of the way. He sleeps most of the way, but he knows when we're about to arrive at Starbase because he's really attentive and he starts looking at the road and he recognizes the location.
He probably also smell it too.
I don't know how. I don't know. Like, it's something like his ears start to, like, his eyes kind of get big and he starts looking around and he does this little dance where he's excited. Like, he already knows he's there.
Okay, you need to record the dance.
Yeah, well, I'm driving, so sometimes I'll take like a selfie with him and send it to my wife.
Hey, you have a GoPro that you stick on the side of the plane. Can we put it in the car? Pretend?
Yeah, I can put it in the car next time. See if he does that thing. But yeah, it's funny. He already knows when we're about to get there, and it's fun. He likes it.
Well, thank you for sharing, Mauricio. I'm glad to see what's the progress of Sunny each week and how happy he is, and just they're like my favorite dog videos because it's dogs plus Starbase equals the best.
And that, my friends, is Thomas in a nutshell. With that, I think that we are all done with the images. Have we got all the donations and questions, Mauricio?
The questions and donations. Let me just pull up real quick to see if I have anything new. But I think we covered them all.
Nice.
Let's see here.
By the way, you're seeing Mauricio's mouse and not mine, just so you know. Mine's the purple one.
There actually is one more question here that we can answer before we leave here.
Please.
Were the comments from the FAA because he was being pressured and can't talk about license, but Fonzie PA was public, and therefore we won't know unless SpaceX tells us? That was a question.
Oh, that's a good one. So you could do a FOIA request for that kind of information of when they are or where they're at with some of this stuff. But most of the time, they would just give you the paperwork that's already been given. For instance, the PEA and the FONSI. They basically just give you all of that, and it would be like, well, there's nothing new. And you might get a document or two that are new, but nothing else until they're actually ready for that step.
Isn't that what happened to Mauricio? He went in and put in the request, and they gave him not everything. They gave him just the public records.
Well, that's what it is. A FOIA request is Freedom of Information Act is public records. So you can't go into a private business and ask for their records. You'd only be able to ask for public government records.
Understood, but then they don't always share their full amount of government records, is my point. Because there was stuff that they didn't give him that would have fallen under that.
Well, so stuff like that would be like integration tower and the facilities over there. That's all basically under, I guess you could call it, not ITAR specifically, but more
It's
of
not
a...
ITAR.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it, the word.
It's all good.
It's IP, sorry. It's corporate IP.
What? No. Anyway.
We did talk about that when I did the FOIA requests. I did get some pushback, but somebody from the county, an attorney from the county, was actually petitioning to, like, pushing forward to get these documents, and it took a while. I think I don't know if you recall, Thomas, it might have taken like 2 months, right? 2 or 3 months to get a response back, to get the actual documents. But yeah, it's we ended up getting them, and we got minimal information.
One of the things that was interesting was that they called let's say Wide Bay or Mega Bay. The official documentation was Booster High Bay 2 would be the official documentation, what they called it on their documentation to the county. But like there was not much else to go off of that was anything too interesting, besides some prices, but those are things I don't go over. Because that's more of like the IP stuff, and I only just give everything in relation to everything else if it comes to that.
Yep. So you could get it if it's public record, and we didn't get all of it because of whatever reason. And you don't share stuff that's not considered you do share stuff that's only considered non-IP, corporate IP.
Yeah.
Understood.
Anything that's public or anything that would be like giving out price tags of things can be damaging. But oh, there's Sunny. Makes me so happy seeing.
Wow, this is chunking big time all of a sudden. What happened?
I don't know. I think Mauricio's watching us stream the same thing.
Yeah.
He's hitting play.
Well, with that, we're at 2 minutes. So, Dave Ree, would you like to start off with the sign off? Dave Ree?
Dave?
Oh,
Hey,
Dave's not even
Jumped off
here.
already.
Well, with that, Dave is signed off. So
I guess that meant we went long.
If he's here.
Jaxie?
All right, I'll take it over. Well,
Jax?
yeah, 50 episodes. It's pretty crazy. Thanks again for stopping by. Yeah, it's crazy that we just finished the 50th one. I remember watching the first one. It's been some time, but here we are.
It's been a year, Jaxie.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
Mauricio said December 23rd is our year.
yeah, just before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 more weeks here and we'll be 1 year exactly.
Well, thanks for watching. I enjoyed that. Thomas.
Been glad to be here again. It's amazing each week to see what's going on with Starbase and Sunny. Off to you, Mauricio.
All right. I want to thank everybody, the commentators, the team, people that support the flights, and everybody that watches these shows. It's been, it's kind of hard to watch the first episode, to be honest, because we're kind of all over the place. But I mean, we have to. There's been we've come a long way, and we're constantly trying to improve these streams. So really appreciate everybody sticking around and finding interest in these particular videos. And I think Dave is back. I don't know, Dave, you want to
Yes,
say something?
I are back. My computer rebooted itself, and of course, Microsoft decided to put an update on at the same time. And I agree with everything that Mauricio just said. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to the weekly update. And I think we will send it to Indian Star.
Yes. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you so much. Come join us next week. We'll have a whole new set of photos. Hopefully, maybe even a double flyover week, Mauricio? Who knows? The week's upon us, that anything can happen. And with that, I'll say main engine cut off, stage separation confirmed. Love ya. Bye.